Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Wrong Interrogation Room, the first cracked case shocked the world. Chapter 1. Zhongcheng City Police Station. Under the police badge at the entrance, young men in police uniforms stood like javelins, holding their heads high and showing high spirits. They are all newly recruited police officers who were admitted to the civil service and came to the police station for internships. Some are from the police academy in the city, some are directly affiliated to the Chongbin Police Academy University in the province, and some are top students from universities such as National Defense. Among many young people, the young man standing in the middle of the line is the most eye-catching. Ning Cheng. He has the most outstanding appearance, and is a handsome man who can be properly placed in movie posters without dead ends. He was wearing a police uniform, his justice was lingering, and he was as tall as a cloud. No matter how many interned police officers around, it cannot cover up his brilliance. The girls in the police station all cast their gazes. That's Ning Cheng, really handsome. It's a pity to not debut as a star with such a good-looking face. This is definitely my next husband. Do you think that Ning Cheng's appearance is better than the police hero of the latest movie? Yes, that police and gangster movie should invite Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's temperament is absolutely amazing. Killed that male protagonist in seconds. Inside the police station, there were whispers of discussion. At this moment, all the trainee police officers looked at Ning Cheng with envy and hatred. Really, he looks so good-looking, he has to be a policeman. Isn't it good to go straight out? Chalemon.jpg. But when Zhang Chao, the director of the police station, came out of the gate, the trainee police team at the door immediately raised their heads and looked at Ning Cheng's figure with a smile on the corner of their mouths. They were admitted to civil servants and became trainee police officers, but they had to be assigned to various departments of the police station. Among so many newly recruited police officers from colleges and universities in the province, Ning Cheng is not superior in terms of academic qualifications and abilities. In the end, Ning Cheng may not even pass the internship period. What's the use of being handsome? In the police industry, appearance is useless at all. The police speak by their strength, and they must compete with their abilities and skills, handle more criminal cases and arrest more prisoners than anyone else. Zhang Chao, the director of the police station, walked up to all the trainee police officers with a friendly smile. First of all, congratulations to the students, you can already call yourself a police officer. As for whether you are qualified and competent police officers in the future, this will be assessed during your internship. In addition, which police department are suitable for you to enter, such as the Criminal Investigation Brigade and the Public Security Brigade, will also be selected at this stage. Hearing the word, criminal investigation, the eyes of all the trainee police officers lit up. Criminal Investigation Police. This is the most rewarding position in the police department, and almost no one wants to be in the department. Soldiers who don't want to be generals are not good soldiers. Everyone is a passionate and righteous young man with passion and ambition in their hearts. Even Ning Cheng is no exception. Now, my God-level detective system should meet the binding conditions, right? Standing in the middle of the trainee police team, Ning Cheng muttered to himself again. Suddenly, right at this moment, the virtual system panel in front of Ning Cheng finally shines. Sure enough, becoming a policeman meets the binding conditions. Looking at the information and light displayed on the system panel made Ning Cheng excited. As early as when Ning Cheng crossed into this world and was 16 years old, he had a God-level detective system in his mind. It's just that he has been unable to meet the system conditions for a long time, and he cannot wake up. Ning Cheng felt that becoming a police officer would meet the conditions of the awakening system. Therefore, despite the opposition of his parents, he resolutely applied for the police academy. Of course, Ning Cheng also likes this profession of serving the people and punishing evil and promoting good. Ding, the host awakens the God-level detective system, you can sign in to receive rewards. The system beep came. For Ning Cheng, who is a fan of novels, it is not at all difficult to understand. Check in. Ning Cheng immediately clicked the sign in option on the system panel. System. Ding. Sign in at the police station on the first day, reward world-class criminal investigation experience. Boom. This moment, countless experiences poured into Ning Cheng's mind like a river. Apprehending the murderer is undoubtedly an important part of the criminal investigation category, and it is also the most basic ability of all criminal investigation police. However, although arresting a murderer is very basic, it is difficult to do well and master it well. With world-class criminal detective experience, Ning Cheng didn't take it seriously at first. But when he digested the experience, he realized that his attitude was terribly wrong. It can even be said to have subverted Ning Cheng's previous 3 views. The methods of criminal investigation taught in the police academy are not enough to see in the face of the methods given by the system, they are too simple. Criminal investigation experience given by the system. From the site survey requirements. Identify criminal activity. Field inspection, on-site analysis and many other links are extremely perfect, with unique methods and meticulousness at the textbook level. The world-class experience in arresting murders is really strong, and I have gained a lot. Ning Cheng raised his head with excitement and anticipation in his eyes. Being a police officer requires a lot of skills. More than just world-class murder experience. There are also skills in criminal profiling, criminal psychology, criminal forensics, and more. Sign up now to get these. Then, as he signs in to receive rewards, how strong will he be in the future? Soon, after becoming a trainee police officer, many were taken by the old police officers to familiarize themselves with various departments of the police station. Criminal Police Brigade, Traffic Police Brigade, Public Security Police Brigade, Patrol Police Brigade, Economic Investigation Brigade, Network Monitoring Brigade, Legal Affairs Office, Letters and Calls Office, Inspector's Office, Equipment Unit, Political Work Office. Because it is a newly recruited trainee police officer, it is impossible to take on important business immediately. Almost all of them were assigned to the personnel department of the office, led by experienced police officers to familiarize themselves with all aspects and procedures. Ning Cheng is also one of many trainee police officers who has experienced familiarity with various departments. And as time goes by checking in every day, Ning Cheng can reap rewards every day. Ding, check in the interrogation room on the second day to reward world-class criminal psychology experience. Ding, check in at the morgue on day 3, reward world-class forensic anatomy experience. Ding, day 4, sign in to reward world-class crime profiling experience. Ding, day 5, sign in to reward world-class insight experience. During the police traineeship, every day a new place can be rewarded and gained countless experience. This rapid improvement makes Ning Cheng extremely happy. Studying takes a lot of effort, but with the help of the system, he omits many steps and achieves a realm that is difficult for ordinary people to reach in one step. Ning Cheng likes this kind of growth. Full and fun. During this period of time, Ning Cheng did not rashly advance, but followed the rules of the internship, and laid hands on the experienced old police officers. Go slowly, and accumulate strength and experience. There are people outside people, and there are days outside the sky. In reality, it is better to keep a low profile. But, time passes day by day. Ning Cheng, who has many skills, is getting more and more handy in handling small conflicts. Many old police officers know that there is a young police officer in the bureau who can handle disputes and conflicts very well. Tall and handsome, every time a female police officer sees Ning Cheng who is serious about handling affairs, she will feel at ease, calm, and more motivated to work. All the short-term interest disputes, fights and other conflicts among parents can be properly and perfectly handled by Ning Cheng. Even the old man and old aunt who came to the police station on their own initiative offered Ning Cheng a blind date. Make Ning Cheng laugh or cry. Young man, your name is Ning Cheng. The last time I came to settle a dispute with you, I remember you. This is my girl. Look, she is 25 years old this year, and she is also a civil servant, a procuratorate, and she is a good match for you. Go go go, the young man came to see my niece, the management of the listed company, the voice is sweet. The uncle and aunt who were often successfully mediated by Ning Cheng found Ning Cheng and took a fancy to Ning Cheng. If it wasn't for the old policeman and the female police officer in the bureau, Ning Cheng's scalp would have gone numb. After the enthusiastic uncles and aunts were persuaded to leave, the eyes of many female police officers lingered on Ning Cheng. It's been less than 2 months since I came to work at the grassroots level, and the work is so excellent. People are so handsome. Definitely easy to get promoted in the future. I thought it was a mascot, but now it seems to be a proper potential stock. Many police girls have a good impression of Ning Cheng, with smiles on their faces. When the other trainee police officers saw it, they could only secretly take care of themselves. To the north, this world is a world of face, and appearance is justice. Woohoo! Ning Cheng could naturally sense the envy of the trainee police around him. It made him even better. Sign in a low-key manner and gain various skills. Days 20, 21, 22.58 days, 59 days, 60 days. Day 61. That is 2 months later. With his outstanding achievements, Ning Cheng's appearance among the trainee police officers also received special attention. Lu Rong, leader of the security brigade, found Ning Cheng. "Captain Lu, what's the matter with me?" Walking into the office, Ning Cheng stood like a javelin in front of Lu Rong. "Don't be so restrained, just sit and talk." Lu Rong looked at Ning Cheng affectionately, a deep appreciation flashed in his eyes. This appearance is well deserved in thousands of police academies, not to mention in the police station. In the future, if the police force has established military exploits and let Ning Cheng go out to endorse the police force's publicity, the effect will definitely be outstanding. And among the newly recruited trainee police officers, the task assigned to Ning Cheng is the best, with strong ability, but not arrogant or impetuous, very correct, very worthy of training. You apprentice police officers still have to be sharpened, but Ning Cheng. Lu Rong, the head of the security detachment, pondered for a while, then got straight to the point. You have done an excellent job and your attitude is also very good. I intend to assign you to the security brigade. What do you think? Ning Cheng's eyes flickered and he was thinking. In fact, the department he most wanted to enter was the Criminal Investigation Brigade. But Ning Cheng is very clear. The Criminal Investigation Brigade has no experience and merits, so it is difficult to get in. The Public Security Brigade is second only to criminal investigation in the police force. It usually maintains public safety and public order crimes, and is more conducive to contacting criminals. It is the most suitable choice for Ning Cheng. Branch leader Lu Rong watched Ning Cheng thinking about it, and said with a chuckle. I know that you trainee policemen all want to join the criminal investigation team and the serious crime team, but without merit, it is impossible for you newcomers to join. Ning Cheng, don't you think this platform is very suitable for you to accumulate grades? Speaking of which, it is almost equivalent to expressing. Ning Cheng didn't hesitate anymore, nodded and agreed. Thank you Lu team, I'm willing to stay in the security team. Detachment leader Lu Rong showed a gratified smile. That's good, don't forget my old leader in the future. In the police station, Lu Rong, the captain of the detachment, personally invited him into the security brigade. Ning Cheng readily agreed. Meanwhile, the news quickly spread throughout the trainee police circle. Do you know, it's only been 2 months, and that commander the Ning Cheng is about to join the security team. It's so fast, it's too strong. The next step is to accumulate resumes, isn't it going to join the criminal investigation team? Obviously they are all trainee police officers, why is there such a big gap between people? Yet value is justice, I decided that I want to have plastic surgery. As long as you have plastic surgery, you might as well choose to reincarnate. Roll roll roll, openly and secretly, more and more trainee policemen discuss the news of Ning Cheng's joining the police brigade. When their group of trainee police officers were still in the office, personnel department, and other departments familiar with the work process, Ning Cheng will be personally involved in police affairs. This speed is not unpleasant. If Ning Cheng can maintain this speed in the future, he will definitely be a figure in the police circle in the future. This made the top student in the police academy just like lemon. However, Ning Cheng ignored the discussion of the trainee policeman and continued to carry out his work in an orderly manner. Check in normally every day, follow the detachment leader Lu Rong to patrol, and handle public security affairs. Zhongcheng belongs to the provincial capital, and there are many public security affairs every day, but for more than a month, Ning Cheng has not encountered any major cases or serious cases. Tasks like catching thieves are rare. Most people now pay online and rarely bring cash, which greatly reduces the crime rate. Days go by like this. Ning Cheng, who did not solve the case, gradually fell silent. The mentality of the original trainee policemen suddenly became balanced. Many of them believed that Ning Cheng was able to resolve so many people who came to the police station to mediate disputes because of his handsomeness. Now, when I meet a department that really tests real talents and real learning, I'm being returned to its original shape. Ning Cheng still ignored it. Continue to check in daily. Although on the days of check-in, there will always be rewards for irrelevant detective skills. But in general, Ning Cheng's strength is increasing day by day. Become stronger and stronger. Ning Cheng loves the feeling and sees his progress every day. More than a month later, the 100th day. After arriving at the police station, Ning Cheng checked in again. Ding, sign in on the 100th day to reward world-class performance experience. Performance. Ning Cheng was slightly taken aback. As a police officer, what does he want his acting experience to do? Ning Cheng loves the profession of police and doesn't want to be an actor at all. If he were an actor, he would not have joined the job at first. Another tasteless skill. Ning Cheng sighed lightly, and handed over the task to the policeman Lao Zhang in the security brigade. Ow! With a tired face, the policeman Lao Zhang opened his sleepy eyes, yawned, and walked out of the interrogation room. Quote, Master Zhang, you are so sleepy, what task did you have last night, so you work overtime? Quote, Lao Zhang is Ning Cheng's teacher in the security team, and he treats Ning Cheng well. Ning Cheng made him a strong cup of coffee. Fine. Lao Zhang waved his hand and handed a file under his arm to Ning Cheng, saying, Ning Cheng, we caught the guy in the interrogation room last night. I interrogated him all night, and I didn't give up. You go to interrogate him. I haven't interrogated anyone, will it be a bad first time? Ning Cheng asked. Who isn't here for the first time? Lao Zhang smiled and said, I'm usually very active, but today there is a shortage of manpower in the group. You go first, and I'll try it with you after I sleep. Saying that, the file was shoved into Ning Cheng's hands. Then Lao Zhang put the yellow leather file in his left hand on the table and fell asleep. That's the job of the police. Once you're busy, you'll be dazed and sleepy. Ning Cheng put his coat over Lao Zhang's body. Immediately, he took the file and entered the interrogation room of Group A. When entering the door of the interrogation room, Ning Cheng stopped and opened the file. An interrogation is never an unprepared battle. As a police officer, Ning Cheng must firmly control the initiative in his own hands. For the suspects to be interrogated, Ning Cheng must have sufficient knowledge and cognition, and then he can extract the clues from the interrogation, find the truth behind the scenes, and determine the real culprit. That's what a good trial is supposed to achieve. After opening the file, first, a 1-inch color photo of a man caught Ning Cheng's eyes. The man in the photo has a lean face, bright eyes, and a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He is gentle and polite, as if he had received a good education. The man in this photo is Zhang Dongyang, a middle school teacher. The file records that Zhang Dongyang took the initiative to report the case and disclosed to the police that his wife, Li Meyer, was missing, as well as the police investigation process of related disappearance cases. After reading the entire file, Ning Cheng frowned slightly. This seems to be a disappearance case, a public security management incident. Not like a murder case. That's right, the security brigade usually takes over as a security incident. How can it handle a criminal case? Ning Cheng felt that it was another tracing case, and felt a little disappointed. But this is his job. After Ning Cheng sorted out his mood, he walked into the interrogation room. Enter the interrogation room. The interrogation room is very bright, not the dark environment like in the movie. Around the interrogation room, cameras and seats are all there. The role of camera surveillance is to prevent abuse of lynching and supervise the interrogation process. There was a man sitting on the middle seat, wearing a jacket and uniform. His hands and feet were not detained. It was a normal transcript of inquiries. This man is Zhang Dongyang. He heard the sound of the door opening in the interrogation room, opened his eyes and looked over. Ning Cheng's eyes just met Zhang Dongyang's. He vaguely noticed that Zhang Dongyang's facial muscles relaxed at this moment, as if he saw Ning Cheng's tenderness, and relaxed. There is a problem. Ning Cheng was shocked and felt something was wrong. It's not just Zhang Dongyang's relaxed state when facing him. There are also problems with the eyes that Zhang Dongyang looked at each other. Ning Cheng signed in to gain world-class insight experience, and world-class criminal psychology knowledge, almost instinctively felt unusual. Zhang Dongyang's eyes seemed to be the curiosity of a normal person, but there was indifference and vigilance inside. If Zhang Dongyang did not commit a crime, what should he be wary of? Most importantly, according to the system scan, Zhang Dongyang's sin value is as high as 200. Scanning criminals for crime value is a function that appeared after Ning Cheng joined the security team. If the criminal has committed a major crime, the system will usually show a sin value prompt. This is equivalent to Ning Cheng predicting who the suspect is in advance. System crime is worth this function. Ning Cheng once went to the prison to test it. For murderers, the crime value is very high, like Zhang Dongyang. Even common murderers are around 150. And Zhang Dongyang's sin value reached 200, even higher. Obvious now. Zhang Dongyang reported to the police that his wife, Li Meyer, was missing, and he was most likely the murderer. This is by no means a case of disappearance, but a case of premeditated murder of a wife. Ning Cheng froze in his heart, sat on the seat, and flipped through the files. As he expected, Zhang Dongyang's pupils narrowed slightly, and his facial muscles became more relaxed. Ning Cheng's performance of looking through the files on the spot is like a novice of his age, with no interrogation experience. This is exactly what Ning Cheng wants to achieve: let Zhang Dongyang relax his vigilance and guard, and despise him. At the same time, Ning Cheng flipped through the archives again, to re-examine it from a different angle, to find out the evidence that Zhang Dongyang murdered his wife Li Meyer. But when Ning Cheng read the file again, he frowned slightly in his heart. Have to admit, Zhang Dongyang's hands and feet are really too clean. The disappearance of Zhang Dongyang's wife Li Meyer is not because the police did not suspect Zhang Dongyang. In fact, according to archival records, Zhang Dongyang's wife, Li Meyer, was missing for 5 days and there was no news. The police immediately suspected Zhang Dongyang. However, the police conducted multiple investigations and groping, and finally denied Zhang Dongyang's suspicion, and turned to believe Zhang Dongyang's statement that his wife Li Meyer cheated and ran away with her lover. There are many methods of police investigation. First of all, it was suspected that Zhang Dongyang murdered and dismembered the body in the family room. However, the forensic doctor used luminol reagent to check on Zhang Dongyang's floor and walls, and found no trace of blood residue. Secondly, if a person is killed and dismembered, it is very difficult to take away the corpse without knowing the ghost. There are cameras in modern communities. Once Zhang Dongyang moves, he can hardly escape the ubiquitous Tianyan system. Therefore, Zhang Dongyang killed and divided the body, possibly flushing the body down the toilet and into the sewer. However, the police pumped out all the sewer water in Zhang Dongyang community and surrounding communities, dispatched police dogs, but did not find any body parts of Li Meyer, and dispatched forensic doctors did not find any DNA residues. The police even thought about whether Zhang Dongyang would be so mad that after dissecting Li Meyer's body, he would grind the body with a meat grinder and eat it. However, the police did not find that Zhang Dongyang had purchased a meat grinder, and there was no DNA residue of his wife Li Meyer in his excrement. With the in-depth investigation of Li Meyer's disappearance, Zhang Dongyang's suspicion is getting smaller and smaller. In the process of in-depth investigation, there is another discovery. When the police used police dogs to search the entire community, they found the silk scarf left by Li Meyer on the street square outside the community. It seemed that Li Meyer fled with her lover and landed in a hurry. Therefore, the direction of the police investigation is turning in the direction of Li Meyer's elopement. I came to Zhang Dongyang today to inquire about Li Meyer and his lover. It was just unexpected that Ning Cheng entered this interrogation room. Officer, how long do you have to ask me? Zhang Dongyang glanced at his watch and sighed. I still have a class in the afternoon. You have asked many times what you should have asked, and I have said it all without hiding it. Did you say it all? Didn't you hide it? Ning Cheng put down the file, strolled and pressed his forehead with all his heart, and sneered. But I think you are the real murderer of your wife Li Meyer. Zhang Dongyang didn't have the slightest panic on his face. Instead, there was a hint of anger, and suddenly stood up and said, Officer, you all conducted a carpet search in my house, searched, and did not miss any dead ends. Did you find my wife's body? You have already suspected me. If you still doubt me, could you please show me the evidence? My Zhang Dongyang is the most sincere person. I treat my wife with sincerity. I didn't let her down, and the world can learn from it. I am sincere towards your police officers. I didn't lie, or I would be struck by lightning. Zhang Dongyang stood up, his face flushed, as if his personal dignity had been slandered and erupted. The sky is thundering, isn't it? God doesn't cut it, let's cut it. Ning Cheng stood up slowly, tightened the slit in the police uniform, looked directly at Zhang Dongyang, and said lightly. What if I say I have proof? ... Group A interrogation room monitors outside the room. Two criminal detectives from the criminal investigation team are staring at the scene in the interrogation room. Old Yang, who is this guy? Why haven't I seen him in the criminal investigation brigade? I don't know either. I've seen this kid in the security brigade. He seems to be a rookie trainee police officer. Isn't this nonsense? The brawny policeman stood up and said in a tantrum. What the hell? Zhang Dongyang has clearly ruled out the suspicion of committing the crime, and he is still interrogating him here. It is said that there is evidence, but it is purely nonsense. He is not afraid of being sued by Zhang Dongyang. It's ridiculous that this kid wants to cheat Zhang Dongyang's criminal evidence. As soon as the voice fell, the strong criminal policeman got up and went to the interrogation room of Group A. But at this time, a pair of hands stopped him. The strong policeman glanced at the owner of the arm and asked, Team Joe, what's wrong? Up to now, Zhang Dongyang's suspicion has been ruled out and it remains to be said. The person who spoke was Zhou Zi, the captain of the criminal police detachment, who looked in his 40s. His eyes were fixed on the display screen, and his pupils dilated. You look at the surveillance in the interrogation room, what is that kid doing? The brawny policeman turned around and stared at the surveillance display, his eyes immediately turned into horror. In the surveillance video, Ning Cheng's temperament changed drastically, becoming crazy and neurotic. It was as if a psychopath had come out of a mental hospital. Ning Cheng's temperament has changed. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, not cold. But it looks so weird. Zhang Dongyang, who had just stood up in anger, was stunned for a moment, and his flushed face collapsed. Staring at the weird and nervous smile at the corner of Ning Cheng's mouth, he involuntarily took a few steps back. It feels like a lone wolf meets a tiger at the top of the food chain. As a murderer, if you meet a more perverted murderer, you can only be played. What the hell is going on here? A big question mark suddenly appeared in Zhang Dongyang's mind. Looking at Zhang Dongyang's stunned expression, Ning Cheng's strange smile grew stronger. As early as the second time he was going through the archives, Ning Cheng had a bold idea. Since it is difficult to find evidence of Zhang Dongyang's murder by traditional methods, then it is better to overwhelm Zhang Dongyang's psychological defense line and force Zhang Dongyang to speak out. However, Zhang Dongyang was able to plan such a case, and he was able to withstand repeated bombing and inquiries by the police. His psychological quality was extraordinary. So Ning Cheng had no choice but to break out of the conventional method and use performance. With world-class acting experience, Ning Cheng is fully capable of this approach without fear of being seen through. At this moment, not only Zhang Dongyang was dumbfounded, but his body was so frightened that he stepped back. Outside the monitoring screen in the interrogation room of Group A, the detectives of the criminal police team were also bewildered. Looking at Ning Cheng's strange and perverted murderer's temperament, he couldn't help swallowing. Team Joe, what's the origin of this Ning Cheng? Is he a policeman? The big and strong policeman up to 1.8 Tad took a deep breath and shuddered. How do I feel that Ning Cheng is scarier than any murderer I've ever caught? It was the murderer who killed a family of 6 the year before. In front of Ning Cheng, he felt like a younger brother. I think Ning Cheng's temperament is like Hannibal. Zhou Zi let out a breath, looked at the display and said. Ning Cheng must be a policeman. There is no doubt about that. It is estimated that he is selling some medicine in the gourd. Let's keep reading and talk about it. The interrogation room is bright. However, Zhang Dongyang felt that he was in a dark night where he could not see his fingers, and would be swallowed up by the more terrifying Ning Cheng at any time. Who are you? Zhang Dongyang asked loudly. I'm Ning Cheng, the one called by the police to deal with you. Ning Cheng whispered. You're not a policeman. Do you think I look like a policeman? Ning Cheng sat on the seat and stared at Zhang Dongyang lightly. We are the same kind, but I am more terrifying than you. I know you murdered your wife, Li Mayer. I didn't kill anyone, don't play tricks here. Zhang Dongyang stared straight at Ning Cheng's eyes and forced himself to calm down. But even if he had guesses in his heart, it was all fake, but his body still trembled and panicked involuntarily. Oh, Ning Cheng chuckled lightly. You didn't kill anyone, why are you in the police interrogation room? I was summoned to answer my wife Li Mayer and her lover's situation. Zhang Dongyang felt that he gradually regained his sanity, and he was not so afraid, and said loudly. My wife betrayed me and left with her lover. I'll report it to the police. You believe in this nonsense yourself. Ning Cheng glanced at Zhang Dongyang's trembling fingers, slowly picked up a pack of cigarettes on the table, and pulled out a wazi said. The index finger and middle finger of your right hand are slightly browned. It looks like an old smoking gun. Would you like one? I do not want. Zhang Dongyang stared at Ning Cheng, pointed at the monitor and hissed. Don't pretend, I know you are a policeman. Do you know that you are suspected of inducement? Where is their surveillance? What I said has no legal effect in this case. Whether I am a policeman or not, as you think, but it seems that you know the law very well. But the more so, the more I doubt you. Ning Cheng smiled leisurely, and his suspicion of Zhang Dongyang deepened. How can ordinary people know the police's interrogation process, and they are so clear about the law? Zhang Dongyang must have made preparations. If Zhang Dongyang hadn't had a ghost in his heart, would he still know the FA as a middle school teacher? Crack. Inside the interrogation room, a wisp of flames rose. The lighter clicked and lit the cigarette. Ning Cheng did not smoke, but put the cigarette on the edge of the table and let it burn out. Do you believe it? In the time of this cigarette, I can make you confess your guilt. Zhang Dongyang's body has recovered and he no longer trembles. But this time, hearing Ning Cheng's voice and the confident smile at the corner of his mouth, his body shuddered suddenly. The scarlet cigarette butts raised faint white smoke, which filled the interrogation room, causing Zhang Dongyang's heart to be numb. Ning Cheng never smoked, and looked at the smoke with a perverted and intoxicated expression. Zhang Dongyang, your wife Li Mayer was killed by you in the room, right? No, I didn't kill anyone. Zhang Dongyang said angrily, you guys have already started a street stall search at my house. If I killed my wife at home, where did her body go? Your forensic test has been done, and there is no blood in my house. Outside the surveillance room, Josie and other detectives frowned secretly. The strong criminal policeman smiled coldly and said, pretending to be smart. Did that Ning Cheng think we couldn't think of it? If Zhang Dongyang killed people at home, how could there be no blood stains on the indoor floor and walls? As long as blood stains are left, why can't the forensic doctor use the luminol reagent to test it? Luminol reagent is a blood test commonly used by modern forensics to judge the murder scene. Using the chemical reaction of the luminol reagent, as long as there is a little human blood on the floor, even if it is a few years old, it can be detected. And the chemical reaction of luminol reagent is extremely difficult to eliminate. Ordinary people can't solve this problem by searching on the internet. Because online methods can only alleviate the luminol reaction, not eliminate it. There are no bloodstains in your home because the bloodstains from the murders in your home have been removed. Ning Cheng said lightly. Luminol reagent is a common method for forensics, because the chemical properties are difficult to eliminate. Even if you search on the internet, it is difficult to find the elimination method. But you Zhang Dongyang is a chemistry teacher. It's not difficult to clear the luminol reagent, right? Just use a high concentration of sodium hypochlorite to destroy the mutated DNA and blood proteins, then use disodium eta to thoroughly couple the metal ions in the blood, remove the iron ions, and then rinse with water. Doing so completely eliminates the blood, which in turn prevents the luminol reagent from chemically reacting with the blood. Quote. Zhang Dongyang froze in place, completely stunned. How on earth did Ning Cheng know that he had eliminated the luminol reaction by doing this? Outside the monitoring screen, many criminal police officers looked at each other, completely dumbfounded. Ning Cheng's idea was something they didn't consider. And Zhang Dongyang's career. For time reasons, the police didn't have time to investigate and visit Zhang Dongyang's school, and only knew from Zhang Dongyang's mouth that he was a teacher, but did not know the specific subjects he taught. How did Ning Cheng know that Zhang Dongyang taught chemistry? Zhou Zi, the captain of the criminal police detachment, took a deep breath and immediately ordered. Call the forensic department in the city and ask if the luminal reaction can be resolved according to Ning Cheng's method. And call Zhang Dongyang's school and ask if Zhang Dongyang teaches chemistry. The 2 phone calls were quickly made, and it didn't take long for them to be answered in the affirmative. Team Zhou, the forensic department said that according to Ning Cheng's method, the blood stains can be eliminated and the luminal reaction can be eliminated. Team Zhou, I have sent it to Zhang Dongyang school. Zhang Dongyang is indeed teaching chemistry. 2 voices resounded clearly in the monitoring room. Numerous criminal policemen stared blankly at Ning Cheng in the surveillance video. Is this still a trainee police officer? Obviously so handsome, yet so dignified, to steal their jobs. Woo-woo-woo.jpg. But now, according to the ideas given by Ning Cheng, it can be determined that Zhang Dongyang is suspected of murder. Zhang Dongyang, what else do you want to say? Ning Cheng sat quietly in the chair, the smile on the corner of his mouth seemed to be more and more cruel. Those straight eyes stared at Zhang Dongyang, which made him shudder, and goosebumps exploded all over his body. I didn't commit a crime, I didn't kill my wife. Zhang Dongyang turned his head slightly, resisted the fear in his heart, and said loudly. I don't know what the luminal reaction is, and I don't know how to resolve it. Whether you know it or not, you have murdered and brutally murdered his wife. Ning Cheng said lightly, even if you deny it, through what I said just now, your suspicion is back. Zhang Dongyang's teeth itched with hatred. As Ning Cheng said, if there were substances that could diffuse the forensic luminal reagent reaction, his suspicions would come back to him again. I repeat, I didn't kill my wife, Li Meyer. Zhang Dongyang insisted. The police are pumping water in the sewers, and the forensic doctor who sent the police dog can't find my wife's DNA. And the police dog also found the silk scarf left by my wife Li Meyer in the square at the entrance of our community. What's the explanation for this? If it wasn't for my wife running away with her lover at 5 o'clock in the morning, why would there be a silk scarf in such a hurry? Because the silk scarf left by your wife was placed by you, Zhang Dongyang. Ning Cheng's answer made Zhang Dongyang's eyes narrow. Ning Cheng shook his head and said confidently, compared to me, your killing experience is still immature. You put the silk scarf at the gate of the community to deliberately create the illusion that your wife is not dead and is walking out with her lover. At the same time, the police did not find any traces of blood in your house, nor did they find any DNA traces of your wife, Li Meyer, in the sewers. Through the above 2 points, the clues verified by the police will instead corroborate the fact that your wife Li Meyer and her lover ran away. But it's all too coincidental, and the arrangement is too deliberate. Ning Cheng smiled meaningfully at Zhang Dongyang. Why deliberately? I don't understand. Zhang Dongyang unconsciously aimed at the burning cigarette on the edge of the table. Now the community is equipped with cameras. Since there is no image of your wife around your house, and the image left by your wife in the community square, it can be seen that there is a blind spot for vision. Ning Cheng said softly, you can just use the blind spot of the surveillance camera to place your wife's silk scarf in the community square to interfere with the police's judgment. Outside the interrogation room of Group A, the criminal police outside the monitor screen looked at each other. They looked at Ning Cheng in the video with shock in their eyes. As Ning Cheng judged, because Zhang Dongyang's community is located in the old city, there are indeed many blind spots for surveillance, which cause a lot of interference to the police. And Zhang Dongyang can indeed do as Ning Cheng. Zhang Dongyang took a deep breath, held down his trembling hand, and said, I didn't put the scarf on the square, my wife ran away with his lover, she betrayed me. Don't pretend in front of me. Ning Cheng shook his head, raised his portfolio and said, there is a record of your inquiry in the file. You once said that you remember that your wife, Li Meyer, woke up at 5:30 in the morning, only to find out that you had left, and there was nothing missing at home when she left. Yes, Zhang Dongyang said without changing his face. It's a fart. A frantic smile appeared on the edge of Ning Cheng's mouth. How come a person who is going to run away with his lover doesn't bring anything? Even a tiny bit of belongings. Laundry. The information in the portfolio shows that you and your wife, Li Meyer, are a combination of an old husband and a young wife. She is only 29 years old this year, and she has not yet left the age of women's beauty. And the camera surveillance in the community did not capture the image of her and her lover. I didn't kill my wife, Lee Mayer. If you insist on saying that I killed her, then why can't the police find my wife's body in the sewers? Zhang Dongyang suddenly stood up and glared at Ning Cheng like a raging lion. Don't use your loud voice to cover up your weak heart, it will only show you are bluffing. As for that, you asked a very good question. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. Why the police dispatched police dogs and forensic doctors can't find it, that's because there is no body of your wife Lee Mayer in the sewers. Murder and dismember the body, it is impossible to transport it away, and it is impossible to escape the police's eyes if it is flushed into the toilet sewer. There is only one way to help you cover up the corpse so that it will not be discovered. There is only one way to help you cover up the body without being discovered. Ning Cheng didn't say it directly. He pondered for a while, and looked at Zhang Dongyang's face nonchalantly. Zhang Dongyang was expressionless, and it was difficult to see any information. But not being able to see the information and expressions is the biggest flaw. Want to know how? Ning Cheng pointed to the half-burned Wazi cigarette on the edge of the table, raised his head, and said lightly, do you speak for yourself, or shall I speak for you? Zhang Dongyang still didn't speak, but when he noticed the cigarette by the table, his eyes immediately condensed. This cigarette is like a reminder for his life, and it has almost burned half of it. Just now, Ning Cheng couldn't help but ask for a cigarette, so that he would not confess his guilt. Is it possible? Zhang Dongyang remained silent, but Ning Cheng sneered. No tears without the coffin. Zhang Dongyang, you didn't kill the body and flush it into the sewer, but you flushed the body into the cement of the wall. Suddenly, Zhang Dongyang's body was shaking like a sieve, his pupils were dilated, and his eyes were almost undetectable. Looking at your reaction, then I know I'm not wrong. Ning Cheng smiled lightly. The corpse is flushed down the drain. The flaws are too big, and it is impossible to escape the detection of the police dog and the Sky Eye system. Only by dissecting the corpse and sealing the corpse in the wall can we hide it from the sky, cover up the smell, and avoid being found by surveillance. Outside the surveillance room, Josie and other criminal policemen frowned slightly. The brawny policeman just shook his head and said, we searched Zhang Dongyang's home and carefully inspected the walls. There are traces of hollowing out of the walls. How could Ning Cheng say that? In the interrogation room, Zhang Dongyang swallowed and said, your police searched my house, but they didn't find that the walls of my house were hollowed out, and there were traces of encapsulated cement. Ning Cheng didn't answer and stared at Zhang Dongyang calmly. Zhang Dongyang looked at him silently, as if he had found his confidence all at once. You are framing me. The walls of my house will be searched by your police, and there will never be my wife's body. Zhang Dongyang's complexion was flushed red, his face was full of hideousness, and his blue veins were exposed. But at this moment, Ning Cheng turned off the light in the interrogation room. The lights in the interrogation room were turned off, and it was pitch black, except for the scarlet cigarette butts that were burning beside the table. Wazi's cigarette butts are almost at the end. Zhang Dongyang's heart was stuck in his throat, as if it was firmly held by an invisible big hand. Choking, powerless. For the sake of this, do you want me to continue? Zhang Dongyang vaguely saw Ning Cheng's face, and he was in the darkness, exuding a cold and terrifying aura. The sound of, ho-ho, came from Juyu, with a crazy laugh. The cigarette butts are almost out, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Don't pretend to be a ghost, I didn't kill anyone. Zhang Dongyang didn't dare to look directly at the devil Ning Cheng, he seemed to understand his own mind. Alas, a sigh sounded in the silent interrogation room, with a ho-ho laugh. You didn't bury your wife in the wall at your house, that's because the police will surely find it. But that doesn't mean you didn't do that. Zhang Dongyang, do you know that you have a faint smell on your body? That's the fragrant smell of formaldehyde. As a chemistry teacher, are you familiar with formaldehyde? In the dark interrogation room, Zhang Dongyang broke out in cold sweat on his back. Of course, he is no stranger to formaldehyde. It is a first-class carcinogen and has an aromatic and pungent smell. It is usually found in renovated houses or on decorative adhesives. Zhang Dongyang, why didn't you answer me? Ning Cheng looked at Zhang Dongyang calmly, and the light of his phone suddenly lit up. There are pictures and many text messages on the phone. Ning Cheng's voice followed. According to the address of your home in the file, I searched the internet and found that the area of your home is located in the old city and is included in the city's new house renovation plan. So many residents in that area have moved, and the house is vacant. This gives you the opportunity and space to commit crimes. Now, as long as the police investigate the house being renovated, they can find the body of your wife Lee Meyer. Do not. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, there may be a lot of renovated houses. Go to the water company to investigate that the water consumption of the renovated house has soared 5 days ago, and you can quickly find out the specific corpse. Outside the surveillance room, many criminal policemen were shocked. Investigating the water consumption of newly renovated houses can quickly investigate the corpse. This method is absolutely perfect. The strong criminal policeman who had been quite critical just now looked at the squad leader Zhou Zi, Team Zhou. Single quote. Qianzi, are you the one who complicated the disappearance of Zhang Dongyang's wife? Zhou Zi asked. The on-site investigation, is there a new house being renovated in Zhang Dongyang community? Interpol Chinxi nodded. Yes, there are many new houses being renovated, and there are also in Zhang Dongyang's building. Hiss. The many criminal policemen watching the surveillance gasped in breath. So many clues can be found based on the portfolio and smell. This trainee police officer is a monster. Zhou Zi, the captain of the criminal police detachment, was also suddenly shocked, and immediately said solemnly. Do as Ning Cheng said immediately, go to the water supply company's water supply status for the renovated houses, and re-examine all residential houses. Group A Interrogation Room. Zhang Dongyang's forehead was dripping with cold sweat, and he collapsed weakly on the inquiry seat. The interrogation room was dark, with only the last half of the scarlet cigarette butts burning. As I said, it takes a cigarette to make you plead guilty, and you will do what you say. Ning Cheng smiled lightly, revealing his pale teeth, and said. Of course, the above are all my inferences. Before I find the body of your wife Lee Meyer, I have no evidence yet. That Wazi hasn't been burned out yet, give you a chance to confess your sins to me, ho ho. Zhang Dongyang's face was pale, and he looked up at the surveillance in the interrogation room. He is very clear about the interrogation process, although Ning Cheng's method is suspected of inducement and has no legal effect. However, the criminal police outside the surveillance room will investigate according to Ning Cheng's method. Once the investigation, it will definitely be able to investigate the body of his wife. Evidence will be found sooner or later. Now Ning Cheng wants him to plead guilty. Does it matter? It doesn't matter if Ning Cheng is a police officer or not. Why? Don't talk. Do you think this trick is useful to me? The corners of Ning Cheng's mouth rose and said, it's all over to this point, why don't you plead guilty to me? Looking at the nervous smile on Ning Cheng's face, a rage filled Zhang Dongyang's heart. He suddenly looked back and found out. During the entire interrogation process, he completely fell into the rhythm of Ning Cheng's questioning and lost the initiative. The scarlet cigarette butt at the end seemed like a ruthless mockery, almost a joke. I recognize you, the furious Zhang Dongyang roared and vented. But at this moment, the temperament of Ning Cheng changed again. It became terrifying, strange, and cold, and his eyes stared cruelly at Zhang Dongyang, who wanted to vent his abuse. Zhang Dongyang seemed to be flooded with ice water, and the last, mother, swallowed hard. You are the devil, a whimper sounded in the interrogation room. The detective outside the surveillance room was stunned. Murderer Zhang Dongyang was scared to cry by Ning Cheng. Zhang Dongyang pleaded guilty. Under the extreme pressure of Ning Cheng, Zhang Dongyang's psychological defense line was completely destroyed. Then, Zhang Dongyang confessed to Ning Cheng his motives and what happened to his premeditated murder of his wife, Lee Meyer. The reason why Zhang Dongyang killed his wife Lee Meyer. It's not just as simple as cheating. There are also deep conflicting interests. Because his wife Lee Meyer is the only beneficiary on Zhang Dongyang's real estate certificate. After Lee Meyer cheated, she planned to divorce and let Zhang Dongyang leave the house. That's why Zhang Dongyang was motivated to kill and planned this case of killing his wife. Zhang Dongyang and Lee Meyer are a typical old husband and young wife combination. The former Lee Meyer was an uncle controller. After graduating from college, she started working and met Zhang Dongyang. At that time, Zhang Dongyang was handsome, elegant, temperament, and knowledgeable, which deeply attracted Lee Meyer. Zhang Dongyang also likes Li Meyer, who looks good and admires him. After that, the two got married naturally. Zhang Dongyang liked Li Meyer from the bottom of his heart. In order to show his sincerity, he even changed the name on his real estate certificate to Li Meyer. But no one thought of it. The marriage didn't last, and looking at Zhang Dongyang, who was getting older and older, Li Meyer cheated. The derailment and divorce caused Zhang Dongyang a heavy heart blow. But the straw that broke Zhang Dongyang's mind was that Li Meyer asked Zhang Dongyang to go out of the house. The house was located in the urban area and was worth several million. Li Meyer thought it was her compensation for accompanying Zhang Dongyang for 7 years of youth. But the house is equally important to Zhang Dongyang. Not just shelter, but also the protection of his daughter. Murder followed, after making adequate preparations. 5 days ago, while his wife Li Meyer was sleeping, Zhang Dongyang used ether to stun his wife Li Meyer. Then Zhang Dongyang killed his wife, Li Meyer, and took Li Meyer to the decoration room on the 9th floor using the prepared bag. During this process, Zhang Dongyang took the stairs. After stepping on the spot in advance, he avoided all monitoring. After arriving at the renovated room, she dismembered the dead Li Meyer and buried it in the wall. The blood was washed using the chemical reaction method described by Ning Cheng, which even a forensic doctor could not detect. There is no one to renovate the room at all. Aren't you afraid of meeting the construction team in the renovation room? Ning Cheng looked at Zhang Dongyang and asked. Construction team. Zhang Dongyang shook his head and sneered. As far as I know, the construction team in charge of my community has been in arrears of wages for a long time, and they won't go into construction without 2 or 3 months. Ning Cheng recorded Zhang Dongyang's confession with a tape recorder. Have to admit, Zhang Dongyang's murder plan was very detailed, he was well prepared, and he also considered many factors. But the Skynet is prosperous, sparse but not leaking. Zhang Dongyang was arrested after all. Ning Cheng believes that if there are colleagues outside the surveillance room. At this time, someone must have been sent to investigate the place where Zhang Dongyang was buried. Not surprisingly, evidence will soon be available. Together with Zhang Dongyang's guilty plea, it is enough to convict him. Outside the interrogation room, inside the surveillance room. A group of people stared blankly at Ning Cheng, who was calm and relaxed in the surveillance. The current calm and smiling Ning Cheng is quite different from the neurotic and crazy Ning Cheng just now. Just at this time, the call came to the cell phone of Zhou Zi, the leader of the detachment. What's the matter? The body was found, is there any result? Zhou Zi turned on the speakerphone for the phone. Reporting to Team Zhou, we did find body parts on the west wall of the renovated room on the 9th floor. The person on the other end of the phone said with great anger. After preliminary verification and investigation, it has been determined that the body mass belongs to Zhang Dongyang's wife, Li Meyer. Very good. Zhou Zi grinned, happy from the bottom of his heart. The surrounding detachment members were also delighted and talked a lot. Great, the case is finally solved. I remember that this disappearance case has been hotly searched by major media platforms, and it is still hotly discussed on the internet, causing an uproar. Now that we have solved the case, we can breathe a sigh of relief. Team Zhou, the case is solved, is there any reward for our team? Let's go for the hot pot. The members of the detachment looked at Zhou Zi with anticipation in their eyes. The case was solved, but this case was not solved by us. Zhou Zi shook his head and smiled, watching Ning Cheng walking out slowly in the surveillance video. The master is that Ning Cheng. People are still in the probationary stage, and they have solved such an important case. You are all old rivers and lakes, and you haven't solved the case. How dare you tell me about hot pot? The members of the detachment looked at Ning Cheng in the video with envy in their eyes. In their apprenticeship stage, they are still patrolling in a daze. Ning Cheng single-handedly solved the wife murder case during his apprenticeship. Why is there such a big gap between people? And Ning Cheng is so handsome in the video, he just doesn't give them a way to live. Woo-woo-woo.jpg. Detachment leader Zhou Zi looked at Ning Cheng with admiration. Solving such a major case at a young age, let alone get a third-class merit. Come on, Ning Cheng is out, go meet this member of the security team. The members of the detachment responded one after another and followed Zhou Zi to the interrogation room. As soon as he walked out of the interrogation room, Ning Cheng immediately saw a circle of people outside the interrogation room. Good guy, Ning Cheng called him a good guy. These colleagues looked at him with shining eyes. Those who didn't know thought that Ning Cheng was a peerless beauty. Team Zhou, what are you doing around me, what's going on? Ning Cheng looked at Zhou Zi. Zhou Zi is the captain of the criminal police detachment. He is a decent person, has rich experience, and is well known in the bureau, but Ning Cheng belongs to the public security brigade and has never dealt with him. Why did Zhou Zi find him? Is the posture still so strong? You just solved Zhang Dongyang's wife murder case in the interrogation room. Zhou Zi stared at Ning Cheng the whole time, feeling lost inwardly. Ordinary people and criminals stared into his eyes and couldn't help but avert their gazes. However, Ning Cheng was calm and unmoved, and there was nothing unusual about it. He was very stable. Yeah, what's wrong? Ning Cheng glanced at Zhou Zi and the other team members and said strangely. Isn't it just a small case that deserves all the fuss? Zhou Zi and many players twitched the corners of their mouths. Small case. Zhang Dongyang's case is not a small one. It was a major case that had been searched in the news and had a great impact. Just at this time, old Zhang of the security team hurriedly walked to the door of the interrogation room with the file and said, Ning Cheng, have you finished the trial of the thief? I was confused at first, and I gave the wrong file. Lao Zhongyang raised the yellow skin file in his hand. This is the thief's file. You have Zhang Dongyang's file. I originally wanted to give it to Captain Zhou. It just so happens that Captain Zhou is also there, so you can hand over the file to him. Zhou Zi, Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng and the squad leader Zhou Zi were stunned. It turned out to be a long-term misunderstanding. Ning Cheng has figured it out. Old Zhang Junkai originally wanted him to interrogate the thief, instead of interrogating Zhang Dongyang's wife's disappearance. Now, because he went to the wrong interrogation room, Zhang Dongyang's case was directly solved. Zhou Zi looked at the yellow-skinned file in old Zhang Junkai's hand and widened his eyes. Good guy, he directly called the good guy. It turns out that Ning Cheng is trying to interrogate the thief. But now, because he entered the interrogation room, the case of Zhang Dongyang's wife has been solved. Fair enough. Zhou Zi didn't mean to blame Ning Cheng at all, but when he looked at Ning Cheng's eyes, he was shocked. Because without the Ning Cheng interrogation, Zhang Dongyang may get away with impunity and go to another ending. Solving the case now and finding the real culprit is the best outcome. Ning Cheng, Team Zhou, what are the expressions on your two faces? Old Zhang Junkai raised the yellow file in his hand, but he didn't understand what happened, and was still in the dark. Old Zhang, let me tell you. Zhou Zi had no intention of concealing it, and told the whole story of Ning Cheng solving the case in the interrogation room. That's it, Ning Cheng took the wrong file, went to the wrong interrogation room, and solved Zhang Dongyang's case. What? There is such an operation? Old Zhang Junkai was also stunned, and looked at Ning Cheng in a stunned manner. Team Zhou, are you telling the truth? I solved Zhang Dongyang's case. His wife Li Meyer was not missing, but was killed by Zhang Dongyang. Ning Cheng nodded and smiled softly. Don't look at me so surprised, it's just a small case, nothing unusual. Zhang Junkai was even more shocked. He has attended office meetings and knows that Zhang Dongyang's case is not that simple. Zhang Dongyang's case has been hotly searched on online news platforms, and the popularity is still high. The Municipal Bureau issued an order to solve the case within a time limit, which caused a lot of pressure to the office. Now Ning Cheng can get credit for solving the case. Just when Zhang Junkai was about to explain to Ning Cheng, the detachment leader Zhou Zi waved his hand and said, Ning Cheng, Zhang Dongyang's case is a big one, not a small one. Now the news of the case can be found in the hot search, which has a great impact. Now that you have solved the case, at least a third-class merit can't escape. Detachment leader Zhou Zi looked at Ning Cheng admiringly. After a while, I will ask the director to give you credit. Thank you, Captain Zhou. Ning Cheng thanked. It's okay, it's your ability to solve the case. Zhou Zi patted Ning Cheng on the shoulder, walked into the office of Director Zhang Chao with a laugh, and dedicated himself to Ning Cheng. What, you said that Ning Cheng broke Zhang Dongyang's case? Zhang Chao, the director, was completely stunned after listening to what Zhou Zi, the leader of the detachment, told. Zhang Dongyang's wife Li Meier was not missing, but was killed by Zhang Dongyang. Yes, Zhou Zechang smiled and said, I was as surprised as you at first, but this is the truth. Ning Cheng has indeed solved the case, and he deserves to be commended for his merits. Director, it may not be direct enough to explain the case to you. You can watch the interrogation video yourself. Zhou Zi made a copy of the interrogation video and sent it to Zhang Chao's computer. Soon, watch the entire interrogation video. Director Zhang Chao's eyes became brighter and full of appreciation. Good guy, Ning Cheng is so good. I'm good at it. I didn't expect that there is such a treasure in our institute. It's worthy of commendation. If he can solve Zhang Dongyang's case, he must have a third-class merit. At the same time that the director intends to give credit to Ning Cheng. Soon, the news of Ning Cheng's detection of Zhang Dongyang's case spread throughout the police station, causing a stir. This is no joke. Anyone who knows about Zhang Dongyang's case will understand how heavy this case is and its impact. However, the city bureau has repeatedly issued orders to solve the case within a time limit. Now that Ning Cheng has solved the case, merits and awards are definitely indispensable. Some of the team members also copied Ning Cheng's interrogation video and used it to watch. They wanted to find out if Ning Cheng's blind cat met a dead mouse, and the case was solved by Ning Cheng's luck. But after watching the interrogation video, they all shut their mouths. As for the interrogation skills Ning Cheng showed in the video, as well as his bold inferences about the clues of the case, not many people can do it. Ning Cheng broke Zhang Dongyang's case because of his strength. Ah, so handsome, Ning Cheng is so handsome. I just want to lick the screen. Ning Cheng, who exudes melancholy and maniacal temperament in the video, is too handsome, isn't he? I didn't expect that Ning Cheng, who is usually sunny and cheerful, has such a perverted side. Although abnormal, but super handsome, I like it very much. The girls in the office were talking at length. The focus of the discussion was not on the case at all, but on Ning Cheng's appearance and temperament. Ziyan, do you think Ning Cheng is so handsome? Ning Cheng's appearance is incomparable in the office, and his ability is so strong and powerful, I think you are very suitable. The girl from the office personnel department smiled and said to the police flower Zhou Ziyan in the office. Zhou Ziyan didn't expect to be mentioned, her charming face was slightly red, and she rolled her eyes angrily, but she had a different style. What are you talking about? I'm not very familiar with Ning Cheng. If you're not familiar with it, can you be familiar with it? The girl joked. Ziyan, you look better than a star, and you are a police flower in our office. You have a strong ability to solve cases. You are already the captain of the detachment. You are so good, maybe Ning Cheng will pursue you. Zhou Ziyan changed the subject and didn't talk much. However, I was curious about Ning Cheng in my heart. Not interested in Ning Cheng. It's the case-solving skills that Ning Cheng realized in the video seems to be very strong, and it is a rare talent in the police station. Ning Cheng solved Zhang Dongyang's case, and his reputation spread throughout the police station. At the same time, it refreshed everyone's impression of Ning Cheng again. Originally, Ning Cheng was in the office, and he was good at mediating disputes. Now in the security brigade, many people think that Ning Cheng is quiet and ordinary. Unexpectedly, Ning Cheng broke Zhang Dongyang's case. Sure enough, they are excellent people, and they are all excellent there. After becoming famous, Ning Cheng didn't pay much attention to it and kept his rhythm. Ding, congratulations to the host for cracking the case of Zhang Dongyang's wife murder, you can receive rewards. Just after the case was solved, the system beeped. Ding, congratulations to the host for cracking the case of Zhang Dongyang's wife murder, you can receive rewards. The system prompt sounded in his mind, making Ning Cheng look forward to it. Reward 1. World-class parkour experience. Reward 2. A Maybach GLS has been parked in the parking garage of the host community. Reward 3. 300W in cash. Note: the physical and cash rewards given to the host are all encrypted and cannot be inquired by any organization, so there is no need to worry about leakage. This moment, looking at the prompt on the system's virtual panel, Ning Cheng's calm face couldn't hold back any longer. The reward for solving a case is not only a skill, but also a material reward. Just cracked a case of Zhang Dongyang, and rewarded Maybach with GLS and 300W in cash. Is the system trying to make him a hero? Will Ning Cheng be richer when more cases are solved in the future? Ning Cheng couldn't help feeling excited. Although he loves his job, having money can solve many problems. Needless to say, 3 million in cash, ordinary people may not be able to make so much money in their lifetime. The market price of the top Maybach GLS is around 6 million. It is a super luxury SUV. It is low-key and luxurious and has connotations. It is more suitable for Ning Cheng to travel. The system also set up an independent encrypted account for Ning Cheng, so there is no need to worry about leaks and queries, which is even more enjoyable. As for a world-class parkour experience, originally, in Ning Cheng's opinion, it was a tasteless skill, and it had little effect on solving cases. But after Zhang Dongyang's case, Ning Cheng understood. No tasteless skills, just not at the right time. Parkour, if you encounter a crime scene, it will be very suitable. Just when Ning Cheng was thinking about his reverie, Zhang Zhengkai, an old member of the security team, came over and patted Ning Cheng on the shoulder. Ning Cheng, what are you thinking? It's time for our security patrol to dispatch the police. Do you have time? Of course there is. Ning Cheng nodded and followed the old team member Zhang Zhengkai to patrol the area. On the way, Ning Cheng looked at the bank balance on his mobile phone and felt very relieved. The 300W in the bank card is really cool, and I will be more motivated to solve the case in the future. Xiao Ning, you are very happy that Zhang Dongyang's case has been solved. The old player Zhang Zhengkai made fun of Ning Cheng and smiled. You are the most potential talent I have ever seen. You are only in the apprenticeship stage, and you can solve the case independently. It's too awesome. Zhang Zhengkai gave a thumbs up and said, in the future, your development and promotion speed will definitely surpass me. You can't forget me. What did Brother Zhang say? Where is this going? Ning Cheng shook his head and smiled, and said, the other members of the criminal detachment also have credit for cracking Zhang Dongyang's case. Without that file, without their earlier investigation and on-site inspection of Zhang Dongyang, how could I solve the case? Zhang Zhengkai glanced at Ning Cheng unexpectedly, not expecting to be so modest. It can be seen that Ning Cheng is very sober and has not been carried away by the reputation brought by the case. In the police world, there are really too many geniuses, and many of them have fallen into mediocrity because of pride. And the case is due to Brother Zhang. Ning Cheng teased with a smile. Zhang Zhengkai waved his hand and said, I have the credit for my fart, but I don't have that ability. If Brother Zhang hadn't given me the Zhang Dongyang file by mistake and let me go to the wrong interrogation room, I wouldn't be able to solve the case. Fart, old Zhang Zhengkai smiled and said, it's gold that will shine. Even if there is no case of Zhang Dongyang, there may be a case of Li Dongyang tomorrow. It's your ability, Xiao Ning, to be able to solve the case. Zhang Zhengkai continued to joke with Ning Cheng to pass the inspection time. Xiao Ning, I saw your interrogation video and judged that Zhang Dongyang is a chemistry teacher. How did you know that? As far as I know, due to time constraints, our police have not had time to visit Zhang Dongyang's school for investigation. We don't know that he is a chemistry teacher. This is because I observed signs of corrosion on the cuffs of Zhang Dongyang's jacket and a slight charred residue, Ning Cheng explained. That's not what it looks like being burned by flames, but the charred black caused by the corrosion of the strong acid dehydration chemical properties of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is usually used as a chemical reagent, and then I contact Zhang Dongyang's teacher identity, so I infer that he is a chemistry teacher. Zhang Zhengkai's jaw was so shocked that he couldn't close it, and said in surprise. If I didn't know that Xiao Ning, you graduated from the police academy, I would have thought you were a forensic doctor. Ning Cheng smiled slightly without explaining much. Although he is not a forensic doctor, he has signed in to gain world-class forensic knowledge. Then when you put pressure on Zhang Dongyang, his temperament became crazy and neurotic, like a perverted murderer. How did you do it? Zhang Zhengkai asked. It's too mysterious to make Zhang Dongyang sob. Brother Zhang, are you saying that? The voice fell. Ning Cheng's temperament changed suddenly. Zhang Zhengkai, who was following Ning Cheng's side, suddenly felt a coolness coming from his side, and the hairs on his body instinctively stood on end. Staring at Ning Cheng, Zhang Zhengkai felt that he was being locked up by a crazy and terrifying murderer. The strong sense of crisis made him shudder and wanted to run away. He finally understood. Why can't the murderer like Zhang Dongyang be bombarded by the criminal police? Ning Cheng's temperament, no one can stand it. Bum, you're too evil, go patrol by yourself. Zhang Junkai scolded and ran away. Ning Cheng laughed dumbly and regained his temperament. In reality, there are top actors who can perform the role of reality. But it is often easy to fall into the role experience and cannot extricate oneself, resulting in pain. But Ning Cheng didn't feel that way at all. That's the power of the system's world-class performance experience, switching performances seamlessly, just take it easy. Suddenly, while patrolling, Ning Cheng keenly noticed a man. The man was wearing a black windbreaker and a black peaked cap on his head. He lowered his head slightly, making it difficult to see his face and expression. But Ning Cheng has world-class insight. In the hurried glance with the man, he has already memorized the man's appearance and expression. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. His beard is sticky. It's a broken eyebrow, but it's thickened and deepened with an eyebrow pencil. The face also has traces of makeup, and boys usually rarely wear makeup. And when this man noticed my uniform, his expression was nervous. There's something wrong with this guy. Chapter 11. Ning Cheng trusts his own judgment. Not out of intuition, but through nuanced insight, I realized that something was wrong with the man in black. Since there might be a problem with the man, Ning Cheng wouldn't let it go and stopped him directly. Sir, is this wallet yours? Ning Cheng took out his wallet and walked to the man's side to observe closely. He didn't care about the danger. Even if the black-clothed man is a dangerous murderer with a firearm in his hand, Ning Cheng will be able to subdue him at a close contact of 1 or 2 meters. Because of the earlier check-in through the system, Ning Cheng received world-class fighting skills. Wallet. The wanted criminal Zhao Tianfang was stunned for a moment, then stopped to look at the wallet in Ning Cheng's hand. Officer, this is not my wallet. I haven't lost my wallet. Anyone who still uses a wallet now pays online. Acting is not difficult for Zhao Tianfang, almost subconsciously pretending to be an ordinary person's words and deeds. Even in the face of Ning Cheng in a police uniform, his face is still not red or heartbeat. But looking at Ning Cheng's eyes, Zhao Tianfang's heart suddenly thumped. Out of years of anti-investigation experience, he realized that the handsome young policeman in front of him was watching him. Especially Ning Cheng's eyes, stop on his face and makeup. Danger. A gust of coolness rushed from Zhao Tianfang's tailbone to Tianlinggai. With warning signs in his heart, Zhao Tianfang turned around and fled without hesitation. Over the years, Zhao Tianfang has been able to escape many times because of the premonition of danger in his heart. Now his premonition of crisis is stronger than any time before. Stay any longer, and I'm afraid he will stay here. Ning Cheng was slightly surprised, but he didn't expect Zhao Tianfang's anti-investigation experience to be so powerful. It turned out that he was quietly observing him, and escaped so decisively, without any slack. It seems to be a seasoned fugitive, no doubt. While thinking about it, Ning Cheng urgently sent a voice message to his colleague, Zhang Junkai, and immediately chased after him without any hesitation. Both sides are on the road in pursuit of the murderer. Ning Cheng naturally used his world-class parkour experience. A lunge sprint. He held the railing with one hand, and took advantage of his strength to jump sideways, which directly saved the pursuit distance of more than 10 meters. At this time, Ning Cheng was less than 10 meters away from Zhao Tianfang, and his legs ran fast, bringing a strong howling wind. What? The corner of Zhao Tianfang's eyes kept his attention behind him. Seeing Ning Cheng's fluent movements, he turned over and chased after him, and was almost startled. Good guy. This cop has mastered parkour. If he continues to chase like this, within 5 seconds, he will definitely be caught. Right now, Zhao Tianfang saw a green and dilapidated taxi parked not far ahead. The driver stood under the wall and relieved his hand, ignoring Zhao Tianfang, who was rushing over. Turn around, hope appears. Zhao Tianfang roared and tried his best to step into the taxi. Ignition, release the handbrake, step on the accelerator, all in one go. In an instant, the taxi ran out with a bang. Fortunately, the car did not break down. Zhao Tianfang felt that the luck of his life was spent at this moment. Then, seeing Ning Cheng thrown a long distance in the rearview mirror, Zhao Tianfang breathed a sigh of relief. He was already in the car. No matter how fast Ning Cheng ran, so what? Can a person with 2 feet compare to a car with 4 wheels? Ning Cheng looked at the taxi that was running away, and quickly looked around. Except for the taxi just now, there are no vehicles around, not even electric cars. Give up. Ning Cheng didn't intend to do this, and his 2 long legs stepped out towards the southeast railing. Quick chase again. Zhongcheng is mountainous, with complex road conditions, 9 curves and 18 bends. The area under Ning Cheng's patrol is a typical mountainous and sloping area, with 7 curves, 3 alleys, and a downtown area. Ning Cheng, who is familiar with the route of the jurisdiction, can no longer be familiar with it. With his world-class parkour experience, he might not be able to catch up to that Zhao Tianfeng. Wanye Park is a very famous park in Zhongcheng City. Usually, except for uncles and aunts who come to practice dancing in the morning. There are also many parkour enthusiasts gathering here to compete. At this time, there are only scattered leisure residents in the park, and the rest are young people dressed in fashion, who are divided into 2 sides, and their eyes are at war. Old K, how is this place? This is the most famous Wanye Park in our city in Zhongcheng. There are many railings, curves and obstacles. I think it is very suitable as our parkour competition venue. The young man dressed in the hip-hop style has a flamboyant personality, and looks at the man opposite the old K provocatively. I've already won the National Parkour Championship, do you think I'm still afraid of your challenge? The young man named Lao K was not to be outdone, and there was a girl photographer behind him to take pictures to record the upcoming parkour competition. What about the national championship? The hip-hop youth said disdainfully, I also won the parkour championship of the Lighthouse country. Did you listen to me showing off? The 2 masters competed together, and the atmosphere was warm, and the people surrounded by the 2 became more and more boisterous. The competition began. Both the hip-hop youth and the old K were top parkour masters. The 2 raced to catch up with each other, and the onlookers were dazzled and addicted to the wonderful skills and movements. The opposite of the railing is the end point. The 2 of them made contact with each other out of the corner of their eyes, and they both stared at the flagpole opposite the railing in front of them. According to the rules of the game, as long as you cross the railing and touch the red flagpole on the opposite side first, the winner is the one. But under the railing, there is a spacious road nearly 5 meters wide in the middle. The road is also 6 meters high from the depth of the railing, nearly 2 stories high. If you don't run well, if you don't burst into a powerful force, you won't be able to reach the opposite side at all. If you don't have enough skills, you will easily fall when you are on the opposite side, and if you miss it, you will be seriously injured. This is an extremely severe test of strength and skill. Hip-hop youth and old K, as top parkour masters, secretly held their breaths at this moment and waited for them. But at this very moment, a strong wind blew by. Suddenly, a dark blue figure passed by the 2 of them and rushed towards the railing. What? Who is that? The hip-hop youth and the old K were stunned when they looked at the blue figure that surpassed themselves. Someone can surpass them, and it seems to be a master of parkour. But the man in front was wearing a distinctive police uniform, he was a policeman. Is he going to run the railing? That's courting death. If you don't make preparations, it's easy to go wrong. The parkour enthusiasts behind him also noticed Ning Cheng and immediately exploded. But Ning Cheng had already rushed past like a gust of wind. He glanced at the road under the railing, and the taxi driven by Zhao Tianfeng was passing quickly underneath. Not much time left. Ning Cheng picked up speed again, leaping over the railing with his legs and stepping on the edge of the wall. His feet burst out like cannonballs. Orangutan jumping and rushing. His figure was like a strong wind, and he quickly cut through the sky and crossed a 5-meter road. Bang! The footsteps stepped on the opposite wall with precision, grabbed the railing with a side hand, jumped over the railing, ran again, and quickly left the red flagpole behind. I'm going, that man is flying. I'll be darling, where did the great god appear? Hip-hop and old K's technical moves are not so awesome. Guapi, I saw a shadow, that person is a policeman. Behind him, all the parkour masters were stunned. Including hip-hop youth and old K, their faces are full of moving and shocking. Old K, do you dare to play like this? The hip-hop youth swallowed, his eyes filled with admiration. Play shit, old K said with lingering fears. if you don't make preparations, you don't adjust your movements, if you dare to play like this, you will be in hell if you miss it. The corners of the hip-hop youth's mouth twitched. He also surpassed the endpoint we set. Catch up and see where it is sacred. Side flip. Jump over obstacles quickly. Go through the bend again. With his familiarity with the jurisdiction, Ning Cheng has copied several shortcuts one after another. Zhao Tianfeng's green leather rental car was still driving in the corner, and he didn't notice Ning Cheng just above. There is still a distance of 100 meters, and it is completely possible to catch up. Just go through that barrier and overpass. Ning Cheng was running at high speed, his eyes fixed on the many railings and obstacles ahead. As long as he reaches the end of the overpass, Ning Cheng can catch up with Zhao Tianfeng's taxi. I was thinking. Ning Cheng's whole body immediately swept out like a strong wind. Parkour skills emerged in his mind, and he quickly climbed over the railings and obstacles in front of him, increasing his speed to the extreme. Cat flutter, run up the wall. Jump sideways and drill the railing. Precise long jump and jump over obstacles. The skills of parkour are displayed one by one, flowing smoothly, in one go. Very artistic beauty. Even the video of the internet's popular parkour god is not so smooth. Passers-by were stunned. I'm going, that person is parkour, the action is so cool. That little brother is wearing a police uniform, is he a police uncle? What is he doing, to hunt down the murderer? With such a coherent and fluent action, I think it's a movie. Passers-by talked a lot, and they all picked up their mobile phones and aimed at Ning Cheng to shoot. At the same time, the top parkour masters Lao Ke and Hip Hop who were rushing to catch up saw Ning Cheng's actions. Pervert, this is too strong. Grab the railing sideways, you can do it with one hand, how strong is his single arm? The cat jumped on the wall and crossed the 5-meter wall as soon as it hit the wall. Is this a human? The old K and Hip Hop who came over stared at the scene in front of them dumbfounded. As soon as the experts make a move, they will know if there is any. Different from the ignorant shock of passers-by, Ning Cheng only felt that Ning Cheng was showing off his skills and looking fancy. As masters in the parkour circle, they all know how difficult and dangerous Ning Cheng's tricks are. A little carelessness may result in serious injury. But Ning Cheng's movements, without the slightest mistake, are more textbook than textbooks. Old K, that person is wearing a police uniform, it should be a police officer. The hip-hop youth asked curiously, what do you think he is doing so desperately running? Chasing the murderer and arresting the criminal. Old K said with a frown. The answer came out, and the corners of the two people's mouths twitched. Dude, is this doing police story? Old K, look, that great god is standing on the overpass. The hip-hop youth's eyes suddenly condensed, and he looked at Ning Cheng with a wide mouth, and said eagerly. Is he going to jump off? Old K followed the hip-hop voice and looked over, his eyes also narrowed and his mouth widened. That flyover is at least 7 meters high from the ground, and the ground is all concrete. If you jump like this, you will be seriously injured if you don't die. Is that god a lunatic? Passers-by also noticed Ning Cheng's intention to jump on the overpass, and the girl couldn't help screaming. But Ning Cheng, who was standing on the overpass, just glanced at it. And then jumped without hesitation. The strong wind howling on both sides blew past Ning Cheng's ears. Ning Cheng held his breath, his eyes fixed on the ground. The moment it's about to hit the ground, suddenly a fall to the ground and rolls off the force. The impact of the landing quickly dissipated. When Ning Cheng stood up, passers-by and two top parkour masters, Hip Hop and Lao Ke, were all stunned. Just flipped to the ground, it's outrageous. Old K took a deep breath and said, I can't do this action in my life. I'll take it. This cliff is a world-class god. Ning Cheng's mind was focused, ignoring the shock of any passers-by. When landing from the overpass to the side of the road, Ning Cheng has seen Zhao Tianfeng. Zhao Tianfeng's rental car is being blocked by the vehicle ahead, and he has to wait for the green light to pass. At first, Zhao Tianfeng didn't understand why the surrounding passers-by screamed. But when he looked into Ning Cheng's eyes, the hairs on his whole body exploded at this moment. Is this still human? Ning Cheng just jumped off the flyover. Not afraid of death. And from the beginning, Ning Cheng chased him all the way and never gave up. Mad, you are a lunatic, you dare to jump so high. But don't even think about catching me. When the dozen or so police surrounded me, I escaped, so don't even think about it. Zhao Tianfang resisted the nervousness and trembling in his body, and started to reverse the car and turn around. But Ning Cheng has already caught up with Zhao Tianfang, so how could he easily let him go? Just this moment, Ning Cheng dashed forward, stared off the ground with one foot, and fluently rolled over from the car window and stepped into the taxi. He clasped the edge of the car window with both hands, and kicked Zhao Tianfang, who was holding the steering wheel, with his long legs. Bang! With a loud noise, Zhao Tianfang was kicked out of the taxi by Ning Cheng before he could react. Zhao Tianfang was kicked and vomited blood. He fell to the ground and vomited out the overnight meal in his stomach. The passers-by around saw the blood on the ground and realized that this was the real murder scene. The police uncle is amazing. The little brother of the police is so handsome, it's too rude. Little brother captures the enemy in one move, he is our protector. Not only were passers-by not afraid, but they gathered around to cheer for Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He didn't know Zhao Tianfang's identity. However, Zhao Tianfang has a strong sense of anti-investigation and is definitely not an ordinary wanted criminal. Passers-by watched the lively, which was a move with no sense of crisis. Stop, 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 catch me, I won't run away. Zhao Tianfang wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth and watched Ning Cheng walk out of the rental unscathed with a look of lovelessness on his face. This guy in front of him is simply a monster. Stop, 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 catch me, I won't run away. Watching Ning Cheng walk out of the rental car unscathed, Zhao Tianfang's face was full of love. He wanted to die, and he didn't even escape Ning Cheng's pursuit by driving. But Ning Cheng didn't let his guard down when he saw Zhao Tianfang, who fell to the ground and vomited blood. Everyone who is watching, please leave. This is the scene of chasing the murderer, not a place to watch the fun. In order to let the onlookers leave, Ning Cheng even increased his tone. But many people still follow me and take pictures with their mobile phones. Ning Cheng frowned. If only more people could evacuate the crowd now. But now Zhao Tianfang must be arrested. Put your hands up, Ning Cheng said to Zhao Tianfang. Officer, I was kicked by you and vomited blood, and I didn't have the strength to get up. Zhao Tianfang groaned in his heart, his face was pale, and he pretended to answer weakly. In fact, he fell to the ground. His right hand has secretly clenched a dagger around his waist. Just waiting for Ning Cheng to arrest him with handcuffs. Take advantage of Ning Cheng's careless relaxation. Just give Ning Cheng a knife, stab him to death and run away. Criminals like Zhao Tianfang have long been rampant and unscrupulous. Anyway, the lives on their backs are enough to be sentenced to death, and they don't mind taking the life of a policeman like Ning Cheng. But at the moment, things went beyond Zhao Tianfang's expectations. Ning Cheng didn't care at all. Staring straight at him, keeping a high degree of vigilance. I said, put your hands above your head, then put your head on the ground. Ning Cheng didn't know that Zhao Tianfang had already held the dagger. But he could sense it. A murderer like Zhao Tianfang who disregards human life is definitely not someone who will be caught without his hands. Zhang Dongyang killed his wife by meticulous planning. If someone like Zhao Tianfang looks unhappy, he may have thoughts of killing. Since you are engaged in this profession, Ning Cheng will never let his guard down just because he masters many skills, but insists on following the necessary rules and procedures. Seeing that Ning Cheng was not approaching, Zhao Tianfang knew that the camouflage method would not work, and after shouting a national curse, he turned around and retreated, hijacking a passerby who was closest to him. The passerby was a pretty girl who was taking a photo with Ning Cheng with his mobile phone. Unexpectedly, Zhao Tianfang attacked and kidnapped her. The nearly 25-centimeter long dagger showed a cold blade, approaching the girl's fair neck. At this time, the girl's face turned pale, her body trembled. What to do, what not to do, I don't need to teach you. If you don't want her to die, just get out of here. Zhao Tianfang turned red and excited, and roared at Ning Cheng. Anyway, I have already carried a few lives on my back, and I don't mind pulling a pad before I die. The sudden hijacking incident stunned the passers-by who were watching, and all of them immediately retreated. Some covered their mouths, and some immediately called the police. The hijacking had already happened. Ning Cheng did not back down, and his mentality immediately became calm. You should know that you can't escape. Ning Cheng stared at Zhao Tianfeng and said solemnly. It's been called the police now, and the surrounding area is surrounded by sky-eye surveillance. Where can you escape? You can't escape the police. Whether I can escape is my business. You don't need to worry about the others. Zhao Tianfeng's eyes were as gloomy as a poisonous snake, and he said, I want a fully fueled car, let me go. Otherwise this young girl will die. Do you think this will work? You put that girl down and I'll be your hostage. Ning Cheng was very clear in his heart. A desperate criminal like Zhao Tianfeng, disregarding human life and law, as long as a girl is taken away by him, he will definitely die. However, someone like Zhao Tianfeng who escaped has a lot of experience in counter-investigation. Once you escape, you may never be hunted again. Now may be the only chance. Absolutely can't let it go. A bold idea quickly formed in Ning Cheng's mind. Stop playing tricks on me, I just want this girl to be a hostage and fill my car with gas. Zhao Tianfeng didn't answer Ning Cheng's call at all. What a joke. Ning Cheng jumped over the bridge to chase after him. Who would dare to take him with him? That weak little girl is easy to control. Yes, I can give you the car, but don't get excited. Ning Cheng comforted Zhao Tianfeng and said, don't hurt that girl, be careful. I can give you the car, give me some time, okay. 15 minutes, no. Zhao Tianfeng glared at Ning Cheng and said, give you 10 minutes at most, I want to see the car immediately or I will kill this girl. Okay, don't get excited. Ning Cheng picked up the phone and pretended to make a call. Hey, is this Captain Zhou? Give me a car, fill up the car, immediately. After the call was over, Ning Cheng let out a sigh of relief, looked at Zhao Tianfeng and said. Look, I've already hit, how's it going? Don't play tricks, if you make any mistakes, I will kill this girl. I know, but it takes time for the car to come. 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes, back me up. Zhao Tianfeng brandished his dagger and asked Ning Cheng to step back. Ning Cheng nodded and stepped back slowly, as if there was no better way. The two remained at a stalemate. Time passed by second, and the atmosphere was extremely anxious. It took time for the police to dispatch the police, and before they arrived at the scene, passers-by all looked at Ning Cheng with huge wings. Currently, Ning Cheng is the only policeman here and the only hope. In the distance, the parkour masters Hip Hop and Lao Ke saw this scene and were completely stupid. At most, they were fighting a little bit. How could they have seen such a fierce and bloody scene? Especially Zhao Tianfeng's eyes, cold and ruthless, murderous like numbness, looking at the past makes people timid and chilling. Even more intimidating, the stalemate between Zhao Tianfeng and Ning Cheng made the atmosphere anxious. No one knows what will happen next. Maybe in the next second, the girl in Zhao Tianfeng's hands will perish and be killed on the spot. Old K, which god do you think has the confidence to control the situation and save people? Asked the hip-hop youth. I don't know, I don't have much hope. Old K shook his head and said. Although the police parkour is a great god, it is a robbery kidnapping. His face looks no bigger than ours, and his experience is weak. How can he cope with such a scene? Quote. To deal with such a situation, the best thing is to ask for assistance, put the sniper in place, and kill the robber with one shot. Doesn't that mean that the girl in the robber's hands is helpless and is going to die? I don't want to see that scene either, but the best way at the moment is to drag it to the sniper. Old K sighed and couldn't bear to look in the middle of the mall. But that robber is not easy to deal with, and he is also very smart, and it is not so easy to be delayed. The atmosphere became more and more anxious, and time passed by minute by minute. When passers-by saw Ning Cheng not moving at all, their eyes gradually filled with disappointment. Suddenly, right at this moment, Ning Cheng said, "Who can give me a bottle of mineral water? Who can give me a bottle of mineral water?" In the dead and anxious atmosphere, Ning Cheng's voice suddenly sounded. Zhao Tianfeng instantly became vigilant, stared at Ning Cheng closely, and said angrily, "What do you want to do? After chasing you for so long, can you be thirsty?" Ning Cheng looked at the surrounding crowd and still asked, "Can anyone give me a bottle of mineral water?" The eyes of the surrounding people were hesitant. In normal times, no one will be stingy with a bottle of mineral water. But there is great danger in the standoff between Ning Cheng and the murderer. Many people hesitated. "I have mineral water here." Among the crowd, Old K asked for a bottle of mineral water from his partner and then raised his hand. The hip-hop youth looked at Old K in amazement and said, "What are you doing?" Old K didn't pay much attention, walked to Ning Cheng's side, and handed the mineral water to Ning Cheng. "Thank you." Ning Cheng said. "Thanks. You're tired too. You should be thirsty. Would you like some water?" Ning Cheng stared at Zhao Tianfang, walked forward slowly, reached out and handed the mineral water to him. "Go away, don't come near, or I can't guarantee what I will do." Ning Cheng's approaching action greatly stimulated Zhao Tianfang. "Don't play tricks on me, and don't try to approach me by handing me water. I don't drink water." "Okay, if you don't want to drink water, don't get excited." Ning Cheng stepped back according to Zhao Tianfang's instructions, and raised his hand slightly with the water, indicating that he had no threat. The eyes of the surrounding people became more and more lost. Even among them, many of them can guess the intention of Ning Cheng's water delivery. It is very likely that he wanted to use this to get close to Zhao Tianfang and then take the opportunity to fight back. However, Zhao Tianfang is very vigilant, and his anti-investigation ability is also very strong. Ning Cheng looked calm, without any disappointment on his face. A wisp of laughter quietly appeared on the corner of his mouth. He looked at the area of the skill bar on the virtual panel of the system. A line of text is clearly displayed on it: world-class precision throwing experience. Ning Cheng's intention was not to hand over water at all, but to get this bottle of water. During his apprenticeship, he was not qualified to carry a gun. But getting this bottle of water is equivalent to getting a gun, and this bottle of water is a bullet. The previous conversation between Ning Cheng and Zhao Tianfang seemed to be a negotiation. In fact, Ning Cheng wanted to lower Zhao Tianfang's vigilance and let him relax. Now this goal has been achieved. "Zhao Tianfang, do you think I'm a policeman?" Ning Cheng maintained the gesture of holding the water with both hands, indicating that there was no threat, and asked casually. "You're not a policeman. You chased me for so long, when I was blind." Zhao Tianfang glared at Ning Cheng angrily and cursed. "Lousy has spent 8 lifetimes of blood mold and met a lunatic like you." "I said I'm not a policeman, do you believe it?" Ning Cheng asked calmly. "Why are you fooling the ghost?" Zhao Tianfang cursed angrily. "What you see with your eyes often deceives yourself, and when you feel it with your heart, you will discover the truth." Ning Cheng spoke calmly. As soon as the voice fell, Ning Cheng's temperament changed drastically. Nervousness, madness, numbness, and icy terrifying temperament erupted in him. At this moment, Ning Cheng felt to passers-by far more like a heinous murderer than Zhao Tianfang. Zhao Tianfang stared at Ning Cheng, and was stunned for a moment. How come? Ning Cheng, how can he be the same as him? Is he also a murderer? At the moment when Zhao Tianfang was in a trance, Ning Cheng blinked his right eye, and then the mineral water in his hand smashed out. The 550 milliliters of mineral water cut through the sky, and with the support of Ning Cheng's powerful strength, it was like a cannonball leaving the chamber. Bang bang, a considerable weight of mineral water hit Zhao Tianfang's right arm. Then, a bone-cracking sound was accompanied by a heart-piercing scream. The dagger fell in Zhao Tianfang's hands. Just this moment, Ning Cheng took 2 steps in 3 steps, came to Zhao Tianfang's side like lightning, kicked the dagger away with his foot, and immediately handcuffed Zhao Tianfang. The whole process was up and down. The surrounding people didn't even react. Ning Cheng immediately rescued the hostages and handcuffed the perpetrator Zhao Tianfang. The old K and the hip-hop youth who were watching from a distance straightened their eyes. Too awesome, forcing, this operation is too showy. I thought water was used for negotiation, but I didn't expect it to be used as a bullet. It's really a bold art master. I'm completely convinced, this policeman is absolutely a god. Immediately afterwards, the onlookers saw Ning Cheng subduing Zhao Tianfang, and burst into strong applause and cheers. Good job, the young man is the patron saint of our masses. It's amazing that you can use mineral water to save people. Mom, the police uncle is amazing. I want to be a police officer in the future. After successfully rescuing the hostages and subduing Zhao Tianfang, applause and cheers filled his ears, but Ning Cheng didn't completely relax. Until shortly after, Zhang Zhengkai and the detachment leader Zhou Zi drove the police car, and Ning Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. Good boy, cheating. Detachment leader Zhou Zi patted Ning Cheng on the shoulder with a look of incredible shock. As soon as the case was solved in the morning, the murderer was caught in the afternoon. At this speed, you are going to God. It's just luck, I saw it unexpectedly. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. Luck, why don't I have such good luck? Don't be humble when you catch the murderer. Zhou Zi smiled and said, let's see who this murderer is. Zhou Zi and others came to Zhao Tianfeng's side, looked at Zhao Tianfeng's face, and were startled. This guy is Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal. Really a Class A wanted criminal? Ning Cheng was a little surprised. Zhao Tianfeng turned out to be a Class A wanted criminal. Being able to reach A rank proves that Zhao Tianfeng has one or several lives on his back. Yes, the public security system has a wanted notice against Zhao Tianfeng. Detachment leader Zhou Zi explained. This guy is suspected of robbery, armed, murder, and has 5 lives on his body. There was a message from the top saying that this guy Zhao Tianfeng fled to our Zhongcheng. We are strictly controlling it. I didn't expect you to be caught by Xiaoning. It's just luck, I got lucky. Ning Cheng said with a smile. Luck, it's not luck, I know very well. Zhou Zi shook his head solemnly, stared at Zhao Tianfeng and said. Zhao Tianfeng, he graduated from a martial arts school before, came from a trainee family, and worked as a bodyguard. He has a strong sense of anti-investigation. Several of our brothers were injured in his hands in the past. Do you think we can catch Zhao Tianfeng just by luck? Xiaoning, in the future, you can show your sharpness. If young people are not crazy, are they called young people? Zhou Zi blinked at Ning Cheng and said with a smile. When I was a trainee, with grades like yours, I couldn't wait to lift my tail to the sky. The police world is not a place to be jealous of the virtuous. You can use all your abilities, the capable ones will go up, and the mediocre ones down. Ning Cheng. The temperament of this week's team is very straightforward, making Ning Cheng wonder whether to laugh or cry. Immediately after, colleagues from the criminal police detachment wrapped the evidence daggers. Xiaoning, be careful in your actions in the future. Zhou Zi stared at the nearly 25-centimeter dagger and said with lingering fears. If Zhao Tianfeng is holding a pistol this time, you're going to be more fortunate today. I know that if it was a pistol, I would have taken a different approach. Ning Cheng looked at the dagger and froze in his heart. A murderer like Zhao Tianfeng doesn't take human life seriously at all, and can do anything in a hurry. Be more careful in dealing with such people in the future. Subsequently, Ning Cheng and his party arrested Zhao Tianfeng and sent him to the police station. The girl who had just been taken hostage by Zhao Tianfeng and several witnesses were brought back to the police station to take notes. Inside the police station, in the morning, Ning Cheng went to the wrong interrogation room, and the news of Zhang Dongyang's case was passed to the new trainee circle. Have you heard that? Ning Cheng solved Zhang Dongyang's case. Zhang Dongyang's wife was not missing, but was premeditated by Zhang Dongyang. Ning Cheng goes to the wrong interrogation room, and he can detect the truth, right? It depends on luck, right? No luck at all. I've seen the interrogation room video. Ning Cheng is really strong. In the video, Ning Cheng took a lot of clues from the portfolio, found evidence, and then exerted extreme pressure to make Zhang Dongyang confess his guilt. That's absolutely amazing. The new apprentices talked a lot. Many admire Ning Cheng. But some have doubts. Is Ning Cheng really that strong? Can he solve major cases independently? At this moment, Zhou Zi, the leader of the detachment, brought Ning Cheng to the scene. Not long after, another news shocked the police station. Ning Cheng has arrested Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal. A new trainee hurried to the team to speak. I'm going, is it true? Nonsense, this is fake, I got the video. The new trainee passed on the video of Ning Cheng's arrest of Zhao Tianfeng to everyone. After a while, everyone was silent. Although the video is not high definition and still shaking, it can be identified that the people inside are Ning Cheng and the murderer Zhao Tianfeng. In the video, Zhao Tianfeng is taking hostages. In that situation, the atmosphere is anxious and deadlocked. But Ning Cheng is single-handedly able to grab people from the tiger's mouth, and his actions can be described as fierce and powerful. In exchange for them, they have no experience, let alone rescue the hostages from Zhao Tianfeng. Even in the face of a murderer like Zhao Tianfeng who has taken several lives, he may not be able to be as calm as Ning Cheng. Cheating. I finally understand the truth. There is a difference in the physique between people. Quote. Facing the murderer, Ning Cheng smashed a bottle and Zhao Tianfeng was arrested. I smashed a bottle, maybe my hostage was cold, and I was cold too. After watching the video process, all the new trainees have to admire. Ning Cheng is so fierce, they really can't do it. Don't call Ning Cheng in the future, we should call Brother Ning. Unconsciously, Ning Cheng is in the circle of new trainees, and his status is ++++++1. After Zhao Tianfeng entered the police station, he quickly confessed his guilt under interrogation. In the early years, Zhao Tianfeng was a bodyguard. Because he followed the boss into the house and saw hundreds of thousands of cash, he became greedy and directly killed his boss and robbed and escaped. He then fled to the provinces and committed a number of robbery and murder cases. After the interrogation of Zhao Tianfeng, the detachment leader Zhou Zi came to the office of the director Zhang Chao again and asked Ning Cheng for credit. After listening to Zhou Zi's story about Ning Cheng's arrest of Zhao Tianfeng, Zhang Chao, the director of the police station, was also stunned, as if his ears had misheard. Good guy, he directly called the good guy. In the morning, Zhang Dongyang's wife murder case was solved, and in the afternoon, Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal, was arrested. Ning Cheng, a rookie trainee, is a fierce batch. Wait, you let me slow down. Zhang Chao waved his hand, looked at Zhou Zi and said seriously, tell me again, have my ears hallucinated? Ning Cheng did arrest Zhao Tianfeng. Detachment leader Zhou Zi can understand Zhang Chao's mood very well, and took out the video channel on his mobile phone. If you think it's hard to believe, just watch the video and you'll see at a glance. Zhang Chao took Zhou Zi's cell phone, and after watching the video of Ning Cheng arresting Zhao Tianfeng, he completely believed it. Ning Cheng is really fierce. I solved Zhang Dongyang's case in the morning. I just asked the branch to give him credit. Now Zhao Tianfeng has been arrested in the afternoon. Our institute is full of talented people. You do not say, Zhou Zi said with a smile. I have never seen anyone who could solve 2 cases in a row during the probationary period. This is to break the record. Break the record, not to mention. Director Zhang Chao shook his head and said, Chengdong Police Station, the captain of the Criminal Police Division, Li Mingcheng, once solved 2 cases in one day. Detachment leader Zhou Zi froze in his heart. Of course, he is no stranger to the legendary Captain Li Mingcheng mentioned by the director Zhang Chao. The fierce man who wrote the case-solving records into the Zhongcheng Police Academy's teaching plan, his record is not inferior to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng can't compare to that one now, but he can't compare to him in the future. After all, Ning Cheng is young, has great potential and is extremely malleable. Zhang Dongyang's case, coupled with the arrest of Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal, is Ning Cheng expected to be second class this time? Zhou Zi asked. The third class merit is a certainty, and the second class merit has a chance. Zhang Chao shook his head and said, I hope to get the second class merit. If Ning Cheng can solve the case again, then he is very sure. But let him not worry, the institute will not treat him badly, work hard, and there is still a good chance of second class merit. Seeing that a talent like Ning Cheng appeared in his institute, Zhang Chao naturally would not treat him badly. Old Zhou, you have to remind Ning Cheng in the future that you should be careful and vigilant when encountering this kind of thing, and you can't easily fold yourself into it. Director Zhang Chao knows the dangers of this profession, and he has seen too many examples of police geniuses who died prematurely. He said earnestly, even if he is very capable, remember to protect yourself. At the same time, news of Ning Cheng's arrest of A-level wanted man Zhao Tianfeng quickly swept the police station. See, Ning Cheng and Team Zhou have captured Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal. What? Zhao Tianfeng, a Class A wanted criminal, that guy is a ruthless murderer. Captain Zhou actually led the team to capture Zhao Tianfeng. It wasn't Team Zhou who caught the wanted criminal Zhao Tianfeng, it was the newcomer Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, is it true or false? This is still fake. Team Zhou is asking Ning Cheng for credit in the office. He solved Zhang Dongyang's case, and the third-class merit cannot escape. Now that Zhao Tianfeng has been caught, the second-class merit is expected. The old Jonghu and the newcomers from the security team and the criminal police team mingled and chatted endlessly. Is it so mysterious? Ning Cheng is a trainee. He solved Zhang Dongyang's case in the morning and arrested Zhao Tianfeng in the afternoon. Why don't I believe it? I don't believe it either. Zhao Tianfeng is a wanted criminal with a ruthless heart, not like Zhang Dongyang. As far as I know, a few old guys were injured in Zhao Tianfeng's hands before. How could Ning Cheng take down Zhao Tianfeng unscathed? Quote, if you don't believe me, just watch the video. When the murder video came out, all the old rivers and lakes who had doubts in their hearts were all stunned. Zhao Tianfeng was really taken down by Ning Cheng single-handedly. In the video, Zhao Tianfeng is holding hostages, and the atmosphere is anxious and deadlocked. In exchange for any old rivers and lakes, they would not dare to pack a ticket to win Zhao Tianfeng and save the hostages. But Ning Cheng did it, made a plan, kept calm, pretended to negotiate and negotiated, and then achieved the ultimate counter-kill. When Lao Zhonghu saw Ning Cheng's performance, he felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. Good guy, if it goes on like this, the back waves will kill the front waves. Woo woo woo. JPG. Can you not be so showy? Good looking, strong ability, don't let people live. Ziyan, have you seen the video of Ning Cheng arresting Zhao Tianfeng? Many police girls looked at Zhou Ziyan, the police flower in the bureau, and joked. Solving the case in the morning, and arresting the culprit in the afternoon, Ning Cheng's appearance is completely worthy of you, and he has great abilities, why don't you just follow? What nonsense, I won't buy you milk tea after talking nonsense. Zhou Ziyan's delicate face flashed a blush, and her curiosity about Ning Cheng deepened a lot. After news of Zhao Tianfeng's arrest spread throughout the police station, Ning Cheng clearly felt more valued. The newcomers who were originally in the apprenticeship circle all changed their names to call him Brother Ning, and the old Zhonghu in the bureau treated him more politely. Ning Cheng understands that the case is broken, and his attitude towards them has not changed. He is still kind to others and maintains his own pace of work. Uncle Police, your name is Ning Cheng. After finishing the transcript, Shen Xinyi, a girl who was originally kidnapped by the murderer Zhao Tianfeng, found Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, Uncle Policeman, how old is he? However, seeing that the girl in front of her was still young, seemingly still at the age of reading, Ning Cheng didn't bother to complain. I'm Ning Cheng, what's the matter with me? Thank you for saving me. Shen Xinyi bowed politely to Ning Cheng. It's okay, you did a good job. You were more calm when you were kidnapped. When I tossed the water bottle, you blinked to the right. You can understand my intention to turn right, which is very good. When using a water bottle as a bullet. Although Ning Cheng had absolute certainty to hit Zhao Tianfeng, Shen Xinyi cooperated well. Although Shen Xinyi was kidnapped at the beginning, she was about to cry. Fortunately, Ning Cheng negotiated with Zhao Tianfeng, gradually regained his sanity and maintained his composure, otherwise Ning Cheng would not be able to rescue him. This police officer, thank you for saving my daughter, Xiao Xiao said, no respect. At this time, Shen Xinyi's father presented Ning Cheng with a red pennant and a bank card with both hands. The red pennant reads, to eliminate harm for the people protect God. Ning Cheng glanced at Shen Xinyi's father. His dress is strictly forbidden, meticulous, and his temperament has an elite appearance. I have accepted the pennant, and the bank card will be waived. To be honest, Ning Cheng still likes the pennant. It was the first time in his life that he was given a pennant, and it felt amazing. Officer, this is what it should be. My daughter's life is not so worthless. Your daughter's life is valuable, and the lives of others are equally priceless. If anyone is kidnapped, I will do my best to save them. Ning Cheng frowned and said solemnly, take back the bank card, it's my duty to save lives. Seeing that Ning Cheng was tough, Father Shen had to take it back. Shen Xinyi glared at her father secretly, as if to blame him for being abrupt and direct. Little brother, can I treat you to a meal? This is my personal request. Want to invite me to dinner? Yes, brother police officer, you saved me. I want to invite you to dinner. Shen Xinyi blinked at Ning Cheng, her whole body was full of youthful and pleasant breath. The surrounding police officers were stunned when they looked at Shen Xinyi's beautiful and pure face. Ning Cheng is really lucky. When he rescues the hostages, he can meet beautiful girls. Judging from Shen Xinyi's appearance, she was in her early 20s and was still in college, so she might develop a relationship. I'll take your thanks, and I'll eat it. Ning Cheng refused directly, which made the surrounding spectators heartache. Shen Xinyi was slightly stunned, not expecting that Ning Cheng would reject her. In school, I don't know how many boys dream of having a date with her for dinner. But none were rejected. Now she also has a taste of rejection. Really, Shen Xinyi said, biting her cherry lips with her teeth, not giving up. No, I like to eat my mother's cooking. Ning Cheng still refused, when his cell phone rang. As soon as it was connected, a scolding from Ning Cheng's mother came from inside. Stinky boy, don't you take my words on deaf ears. I asked you to go on a blind date the day before yesterday, but your kid didn't make an appointment. What's the matter where you left the woman? Do you know that I asked the matchmaker to beg you many times? If you don't go today, don't enter the house in the future. Ning Cheng has reached the legal age for marriage. Ning's mother, like every parent in the country, will discuss Ning Cheng's marriage. Mother said such heavy words, Ning Cheng had to agree. Okay, I'll go, will it work? After hanging up the phone, Shen Xinyi held back a smile. I didn't expect a handsome guy like Ning Cheng would go on a blind date. Little brother, if you're going on a blind date, then I won't bother you. Shen Xinyi smiled secretly and said, but, little brother, can you give me your mobile phone number? Okay. Ning Cheng didn't think much, gave the phone to Shen Xinyi, and told Father Shen. Looking at your family background, it should be good. If you have the conditions, you can ask a good psychologist to give your daughter psychological counseling and intervention to avoid shadows. The hijacking of murderers, ordinary people will never encounter such terrifying things in their lives. Timely psychological counseling is necessary. Especially for girls, it is easier to be sensitive. So warm. Shen Xinyi stared at Ning Cheng with warm currents flowing in her heart. After Father Shen nodded in agreement, he took Shen Xinyi out of the police station. Don't look, we've already left the police station. Shen Zhengfeng snorted coldly and said, that policeman is not for you. Why doesn't it suit me? Shen Xinyi pouted and said, that little brother is so handsome and capable, I feel very safe to stay by his side. And just now he reminded me to do psychological counseling, he is a warm man. I think he is far more reliable than the boys in the school. Impossible, I won't stop you from falling in love, but I can't be with him. Father Shen said firmly. Why? Shen Xinyi widened her eyes and said, do you think he has no emotional intelligence because he refused your bank card and didn't save face for you? He clearly has principles in his dealings, is it okay to be upright? He doesn't accept bank cards, which I totally understand and appreciate his principles. Father Shen shook his head and said, but I have inquired about it. That guy solved 2 major cases in a day. He is a rare talent in the police station. Isn't this better? Shen Xinyi asked strangely. With his occupation, strong ability is not necessarily a good thing. He may meet the king of hell in advance, do you understand? Father Shen said. You want to be with him, it's too dangerous, and people are not interested in you at all, so why bother yourself? Who said that? Shen Xinyi couldn't refute, but was not convinced. The other side. Ning Cheng didn't think much about Shen Xinyi's father and daughter. In his mind, the system prompt sounded again. Congratulations to the host for arresting the A-level wanted criminal Zhao Tianfang and successfully safeguarding the safety of the people's lives and property. You can receive the following rewards. Reward 1. World-class forensic pathology experience. Reward 2. A-share stock trends in the week ahead. Both rewards would like to be good. World-class forensic pathology that enhances Ning Cheng's crime-solving capabilities. A-share stock trends in the week ahead. You can use the original money to invest, and make money from money, and the source of money in the stock market has clear channels and can withstand inspection. After receiving the reward, Ning Cheng went to the Starbucks coffee shop near his community as his mother agreed. The information of the woman, He Chiuman, has been sent to his mobile phone. She is an online female anchor by profession. From the point of view of the photos, she looks pretty good. After waiting for nearly half an hour, the blind date hostess He Chiuman was late. You are Ning Cheng? Yes, I am. Ning Cheng frowned slightly, and asked politely, what would you like to drink? Don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee very much. He Chiumin looked at Ning Cheng up and down, and said directly. You look good, and your looks are what I like, but your looks are not enough. I didn't read your information, but I heard that you are a civil servant. Do you have a house and a car? The salary is not high, can you afford me? I don't like doing housework after marriage. A set of houses in the city, 5 million Maibach to travel, and more than 3 million savings, what do you think? Ning Cheng asked calmly. He Chiumin's eyes lit up, and he questioned, is it true or false? It doesn't matter if it's true or not, the question is, are you worthy? Ning Cheng stared at He Chiumin's face and sneered at the corners of his mouth. You have the marks of a knife on your face, and there are still tiny incisions that haven't healed. You can't even cover it up with makeup. The traces of hyaluronic acid filling are also obvious, causing the apple muscle to become hypertrophic and bloated. In addition, you have a slight bad breath, which is smoking me. Ning Cheng is no easy mess. Don't blame him for being rude if other people play with him. The hostess He Chiumin's face turned black, and she suddenly stood up and stared at Ning Cheng coldly. If eyes can kill, I'm afraid Ning Cheng has died several times by now. Ning Cheng was too lazy to pay attention, got up to check out and left. When I walked out of the cafe, the river on the opposite side was already crowded with people. Ning Cheng saw a lot of police officers dispatched on the opposite side, including the policewoman Hua Zhou he had met. Zhou Zian is the leader of the 4th Criminal Investigation Team. If she is dispatched, it is very likely that a murder has occurred. Fatalities. As a police officer, it is impossible for Ning Cheng to turn a blind eye. Especially when the murder happened in the surrounding area of his community. Ning Cheng is even more unlikely to act as if nothing happened. Coming to the river opposite the cafe, Ning Cheng pushed aside the crowd. Ning Cheng saw Zhou Zian. Beside her, a long cordon has been surrounded to block the crowd from watching. Inside the cordon, there are special criminal police officers conducting on-site inspections. At the very front, there is still a corpse, wrapped in white cloth. Ning Cheng, why are you here? Zhou Zian looked at Ning Cheng unexpectedly, not expecting him to appear here. Nearby is my neighborhood, Ning Cheng explained, and his eyes fell on the corpse wrapped in white cloth. Team Zhou, what's wrong? It's a murder. That's right. Zhou Zian nodded, looked at the corpse in the cordon, and said. 2 hours ago, the Bureau received a call from the public saying that there were dead bodies in the river in the West Lake District. After the police came out, we salvaged the body. After preliminary investigation, it was determined that the deceased should have been killed. How did you judge it? Ning Cheng asked curiously. Yo, Ning Cheng, are you trying to test our squad leader? The 4 groups of players next to them laughed and said. Ning Cheng, although you solved Zhang Dongyang's case today, you arrested Zhao Tianfeng again. But our Captain Zhou is definitely not bad, at least not inferior to you. I didn't mean that. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, I just want to understand the case. What do you know about the case? The player who just teased Ning Cheng added. Our Captain Zhou is the youngest detachment captain in the Bureau. Other detachment leaders are either in their 30s or in their 40s. Only our weekly team is 25 and has won a lot of honors, both second class and third class. Quote. You want to understand the case, is it because you want to compete with our weekly team? Following the team members' words, the eyes of many police officers fell on Ning Cheng, curious. Ning Cheng is definitely capable, there is no doubt about that. But Zhou Zian, who is the captain, can be the captain of the detachment at a young age, and her skills are really strong. If the two were to compare the old and the new, who would win? Ning Cheng had a headache, sighed, and said to Zhou Zian. Team Zhou, I really don't mean that. Is there any meaning? I can't control it. Zhou Zian has a straightforward personality and said with a smile. I can let you know the details of the case, but this is my case. You only have the right to make suggestions, and you can't lead. Do you understand? Ning Cheng nodded and agreed. Yes. Zhou Zian can serve as the team leader, and her strength will definitely not be bad, and the case is very likely to be solved. Ning Cheng has no intention of fighting for power, and solving the case is the main purpose. It is judged that the deceased died of murder, that's because we found injuries on the deceased, which should have been left by the fight, and the deceased was then pushed into the river by the murderer and drowned. Zhou Ziyan took Ning Cheng into the cordon and explained to Ning Cheng. The identity of the deceased has been established based on identification documents from the deceased's pocket purse. The deceased's name was Sun Hurong, female, 24 years old this year, and her home address was in Zaihu District, Zhongcheng. She was a local. We have contacted the deceased's parents, and they will come back to confirm later. What do you call the dead person? Ning Cheng frowned suddenly. Zhou Ziyan asked strangely, Sun Hurong, what's the matter? Nothing, just lift the white cloth and let me see. Ning Cheng said solemnly. Zhou Ziyan lifted the white cloth, revealing a beautiful face inside. At this moment, Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed instantly. Ning Cheng, you seem strange, do you know the deceased? Zhou Ziyan saw Ning Cheng's problem. Ning Cheng nodded and said directly, yes, she is the blind date of a friend of mine. Zhou Ziyan. Immediately, many police officers in the cordon looked at Ning Cheng. What do you watch me do? Ning Cheng couldn't help laughing. She is my friend's blind date, but not my blind date. Zhou Ziyan said, since it is your friend's blind date, then call your friend over. Okay. Ning Cheng nodded and called his friend Wang Peng. Not long after, Ning Cheng's friend Wang Peng arrived at the crime scene. Wang Peng is the best friend of Ning Cheng's middle and high school. Although he chooses a different major from Ning Cheng's, everyone is in the same community and has a good time. At the age of Wang Peng, he also encountered the same problem as Ning Cheng, blind date. Sun Hurong is Wang Peng's blind date. Wang Peng once introduced Sun Hurong to Ning Cheng. Why did you call me here? It wasn't clear on the phone that Wang Peng didn't understand the meaning of Ning Cheng's call. Your blind date is dead. Ning Cheng said. Wang Peng. Don't look at me like that, no kidding. Ning Cheng lifted the white cloth to reveal Sun Hurong's face, and told his friend Wang Peng what happened. Looking at the dead Sun Hurong, Wang Peng was a little unacceptable. It wasn't until a long time ago that he calmed down. Right now, Sun Hurong's parents, who had been notified, rushed over, lifted the white cloth with trembling hands, and saw that it was her daughter's face, and a whimper sounded. White-haired people send black-haired people. Human tragedy, probably so. The surrounding police officers comforted the grandparents. But, at this time, Sun Hurong's father Sun Yan's eyes widened in anger, and he pointed at Wang Peng emotionally. Wang Peng, my daughter told us to see you yesterday. Then she didn't come home all night, the phone couldn't get through, and now my daughter is dead, you must have killed her. Roar, you must have killed my daughter, Wang Peng is you are the murderer. Sun Hurong's father, Sun Yan, was furious and was extremely emotional. When the police officers inside the cordon saw this scene, they immediately became suspicious. As the blind date of the deceased Sun Hurong, Wang Peng is likely to be suspected of murder because of emotional entanglements. And Wang Peng was identified by the parents of the deceased Sun Hurong. Ning Cheng stared at his friend Wang Peng, frowning slightly. He knew very well that his friend Wang Peng's honest and sincere nature made it difficult for him to commit murder. On top of that, Ning Cheng started the systematic sin value analysis. Wang Peng's crime score is only 10, which is within the normal range, and it does not reach the limit of murder at all. In other words, that is to say, Wang Peng is not a murderer. But the criminal investigation process that should go is still to go. Zhou Ziyan's eyes signaled the team members to pull Sun Yan away to avoid doing things that were too irritating and hurtful. After a while, Sun Yan's father calmed down and explained what he knew to the detective. Sun Hurong's parents once met Wang Peng's parents. Seeing that Wang Peng and Sun Hurong were of the right age, they both meant to match. After Wang Peng met with Sun Hurong many times, Sun Hurong said to her grandparents and grandmother that she liked Wang Peng very much, and the two often chatted on the internet. Yesterday, Sun Hurong left home and told her parents that she was going to find Wang Peng, but she didn't return all night. This happened. Sun Yan's account of the incident was recorded by audio recorder. After Zhou Ziyan listened, she handed it over to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, what do you think? Your friend is now suspected of murder. Zhou Ziyan looked at Ning Cheng with a playful smile on the corner of her mouth. Ning Cheng pondered slightly. Wang Peng was a little nervous, shook his head and said, Lao Ning, I'm not a murderer, you know me. After listening to the recording, Ning Cheng said calmly. Team Joe, I don't think Wang Peng is not a murderer. You can ask him about his situation first. Zhou Ziyan looked at Wang Peng and said straight to the point, what's the situation with you and Sun Hirong? Officer Zhou, Sun Hirong is my blind date. We have met several times. Wang Peng accepted a formal inquiry for the first time, and expressed uncontrollable nervousness. To be honest, I prefer Sun Hirong. She is good-looking and has a good personality. However, Sun Hirong is not very interested in me. After we met for the last time half a month ago, we never contacted again. I can show you the chat history, we really lost contact. Is that so? Zhou Ziyan frowned and thought. According to Wang Peng, he had a good impression of the deceased Sun Hirong, but Sun Hirong did not like him, and the two broke off contact. But according to Sun's father, Sun Hirong always said that she had contact with Wang Peng on the internet, and she wanted to see Wang Peng last night. One of them must have lied. Exactly who lied is unknown. After thinking for a while, Zhou Ziyan asked, the place of death of the deceased is in the Moon Bridge River. Wang Peng, have you been here? Wang Peng's face changed and his body trembled. Yesterday, he did come here. But why was the deceased Sun Hirong murdered here? Suspicion seemed to be on his head. Why don't you speak? Zhou Ziyan asked. Ning Cheng patted Wang Peng's shoulder and said softly, come on, even if you've been here before, it doesn't matter. The police won't easily convict you on this. Come here. Wang Peng sighed and nodded. Hiss. Many of the team members took a deep breath and watched Wang Peng's eyes gradually change. Even Zhou Ziyan was surprised, frowned and said, why are you here? I have a habit of running at night and like to run around the river for exercise. What time? Are there any witnesses? At 8 o'clock in the evening, it lasted for half an hour, and it was difficult to find witnesses. I like to exercise alone. Wang Peng said with his eyes closed. Zhou Ziyan raised her eyebrows and asked, is there any surveillance that found you? Have. Hearing the surveillance, Wang Peng's eyes instantly brightened. Yes, there is surveillance to prove my innocence. Wang Peng, you forgot something. Ning Cheng said to Wang Peng. There is monitoring, but it is only in the east area. The monitoring in the west area of the river is in the maintenance stage during this period of time, and video recording is not possible. And the deceased died on Moon Bridge in the West District. It is difficult to clear your suspicions just by relying on the surveillance of the East District. Because it is near my own community, the area of Ningcheng is very familiar. Call. Many team members stared at Wang Peng, murmuring in their hearts. More and more suspicions are converging on Ningcheng. Ah! Wang Peng yelled, almost crying. Lao Ning, what should I do? Without monitoring, wouldn't it prove my innocence? It's interesting, this case. At this time, Ning Cheng chuckled. Team leader Zhou Ziyan said, what are you laughing at? Ning Cheng said calmly, I suspect that someone is planning to plot against Wang Peng. The layout person is very familiar with this area and Wang Peng's exercise habits. He knows the monitoring and maintenance of the western area of this river area, and he knows that Wang Peng likes to exercise around the river by himself. Then you are funny, Zhou Ziyan said incredulously. Sure. The corners of Ning Cheng's mouth became more and more intense. After all, it wasn't me who was plotted against me. Lao Ning, I accidentally made friends, but you can still laugh. Wang Peng stared at Ning Cheng, feeling that his future is hopeless, and he will sing tears from behind bars in the future. Outside the cordon, passers-by onlookers gradually startled a commotion. Among the crowd, He Chiumin was among them, and she stared at Ning Cheng resentfully. She didn't forget the humiliation that Ning Cheng had done to her just now. Comrade police officer, that's obviously a suspect, why didn't he arrest him? Are you trying to cover up him? Quote, the police are covering up their own people. With He Chiumin's voice, commotion and discussion broke out in the crowd, and some people had already picked up their mobile phones to take pictures. Looking at this situation, Zhou Ziyan frowned tightly. Whether Wang Peng is the murderer or not, the judicial process should not be interfered with. Team Zhou, how to deal with the current case? Zhou Ziyan replied, it takes time to solve the case, so take it back to the police station first. I don't think it's necessary, it can be solved on the spot. Can you solve the case on the spot? Zhou Ziyan widened her eyes and questioned, Ning Cheng, are you kidding me? No kidding, since Team Joe can't do it, let me try it. Ning Cheng looked at the dead body on the ground and said lightly. Since the suspects now point to Wang Peng, it's better to let the corpse reveal the answer and identify the real culprit. Lao Ning, I knew you wouldn't be so disloyal. Hearing that his friend Ning Cheng was going to intervene in the case and plead for himself, Wang Peng jumped up with excitement. You're here to let the corpse speak. Zhou Ziyan didn't understand what Ning Cheng meant. The corpse is dead, how can you speak? It's very simple, just do an autopsy. Zhou Ziyan was surprised. Autopsy, you can forensic autopsy. It happens to be 1,000,000 points. Ning Cheng demanded. I want to conduct an autopsy. According to the clues found on the body, it should be able to clear Wang Peng's suspicion. We have a professional forensic doctor. Zhou Ziyan shook her head and said, you don't need an autopsy. Where is the forensic doctor now? Ning Cheng looked around and asked, why didn't I see it? If the forensic doctor is present, I think Wang Peng's suspicion can be cleared now. The forensic doctor is already on his way. Zhou Ziyan asked, I want to know why you can be so sure that forensics are not omnipotent. Forensic doctors are not omnipotent, but I can be sure that the clues on Sun Hurong's body can clear the suspicion. Zhou Ziyan frowned, looked at Ning Cheng earnestly, and said. Okay, I believe you once, and I can take the responsibility for you later. But until the forensic doctor arrives at the scene, under his supervision, you can perform an autopsy. Okay, Ning Cheng nodded, having a lot of goodwill towards Zhou Ziyan's accommodation. The forensic department that arrived quickly arrived. 3 came, all wearing white coats. Among the 3, 1 was an old forensic expert, and 2 were young men. An old man of nearly 50 years old, he is the director of the forensic department. His name is Chen Chang, and he seems to have rich experience in forensic medicine. Zhou Ziyan walked up to negotiate with the director Chen Chang. It didn't take long. Chen Chang agreed to Zhou Ziyan's proposal. Let Ning Cheng lead the autopsy. And he acts as supervisor. If Ning Cheng is found to have irregular autopsy operations, stop it immediately. Ning Cheng, this is Director Chen Chang, director of the forensic department, and a forensic expert in the city. He has already agreed and agrees to your autopsy. Zhou Ziyan introduced Chen Chang to Ning Cheng, but all your operations must be supervised by him, okay? Ning Cheng nodded and said, no problem. If you find something wrong with my operation, you can stop it at any time. Young man, I heard that you can perform autopsy. Now I rarely see police officers who can conduct forensic examinations. Chen Chang, an expert in the forensic department, had a warm smile on his mouth, but it made people shudder. You dare to conduct an autopsy examination. If Wang Peng is innocent, I believe the body will speak for him. Thank you, Director Chen. Ning Cheng expressed his gratitude to Director Chen, the forensic tycoon. Then he walked to the body of the deceased Sun Hurong, and after staring for a while, he said politely. I need professional forensic tools. Chen Cheng smiled and gestured to the intern beside him. Da Gang, give him the toolbox in your hand. Do you really know how to do a post-mortem? If you are so pretentious, don't be scared to death. The forensic intern in a white coat couldn't help muttering, and he was quite critical of Ning Cheng. However, he obeyed and handed the toolbox to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't pay much attention to it, and after getting the forensic toolbox, he settled down to conduct an autopsy. The 2 forensic interns and the forensic expert Director Chen were all staring at Ning Cheng's autopsy procedure. Just a few minutes later, the expressions of the 3 have changed from questioning, to consternation, and finally to admiration. As soon as the experts make a move, they will know if there is any. If you are not a professional forensic doctor, you may not even be able to name the tools in the autopsy toolbox. But here is Ning Cheng. Professional forensic autopsy tools, in the hands of Ning Cheng, are like brushes in the hands of a master. The smooth, skilled, flowing movements have artistic aesthetics. Director Chen, I think that Ning Cheng's autopsy operation seems to be quite professional. Da Gang, the forensic intern who had criticized Ning Cheng just now, couldn't help but say. I also think it's very professional and more skilled than me. Another female forensic intern agreed. Director Chen, the forensic expert, was silent, watching Ning Cheng's autopsy movements, and a huge emotion flashed. Ning Cheng's autopsy operation is more than professional than the intern he brought. Even more skilled and professional than him. It doesn't look like a police officer at all, but rather like a top forensic expert who has been immersed in it for decades. They are really amazing. They are people with real talents and real learning. Director Chen, a forensic expert, was already curious. After speaking, he walked up to Ning Cheng and tentatively said, "What did the autopsy reveal?" Ning Cheng gave his own inference while doing a serious autopsy. "This is a homicide case. The skin of the deceased's face and wrists had abrasion damage and broken nails, which is enough to prove that the deceased had a fierce confrontation with the murderer before he died." Quote, "Is there no other death, such as death when fighting the murderer?" Director Chen asked softly. Ning Cheng glanced at Director Chen. "It doesn't exist. This corpse died last night, and there are signs of suffocation that are often seen in fresh corpses, that is, the whole body blood does not coagulate, and the conjunctiva, mucous membranes, and serosa have petechial hemorrhages. And in her mouth and nose, it is easy to notice the fungus-like foam of the mouth and nose." Quote, Ning Cheng opened the mouth and nose of the deceased and said calmly, "The cold water stimulates the mucous membrane of the human respiratory tract to secrete a large amount of mucus. The mucus, drowning fluid and air are mixed and stirred with each other through vigorous breathing exercise, resulting in a large number of small and uniform white foam." Director Chen, as a forensic expert, haven't you seen such an obvious mushroom-like foam? Director Chen smiled awkwardly. Good guy, after decades of forensic autopsy, it's the first time he's been reprimanded by a young man like Ning Cheng. However, Ning Cheng's operation is almost like a textbook, and he can't pick out any mistakes, so he can't refute. Ning Cheng went on to examine the ear canal, eye conjunctiva, armpit, ganglion and other parts of the corpse. These are all important procedures in an autopsy. Forensics is actually not complicated. Compared with other subjects with complicated knowledge, it requires meticulousness. Because clues are often hidden in those inadvertently. The crowd around looked at Ning Cheng, who was attentive. At first, they had a lot of noise, and now the voice is getting quieter. Detachment leader Zhou Zian stared at Ning Cheng, who was earnestly doing the autopsy, unknowingly fascinated. Serious men are often super handsome. Ning Cheng, who calmed down at this moment, looked invincible, and killed men and women. After half an hour, the surrounding people gradually began to talk again. "Ning Cheng, did you check what happened?" Zhou Zian glanced at her watch. "Half an hour has passed now. The body has been soaked in water for too long, and many information clues have been eroded by the water flow." "Are you sure you can find the clues?" "Can be found. I have found the autopsy evidence that proves Wang Peng's innocence." Ning Cheng stopped the autopsy and got up slowly. So fast. Zhou Zian and a group of police officers were shocked. Next, did Ning Cheng really find the clue? Zhou Zian asked, "What evidence is there to prove that you are not the murderer?" "It's easy to prove that Wang Peng is not the murderer," Ning Cheng said calmly. "The key evidence is the time of death of the deceased son Hirong. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.